Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. It is time, just about, to get live with a tournament match. We're going to be doing a live tournament match cast and then one from replays, the first two of the Tribunal stage number 4, or Tribunal number 3 for Acropolis number 4. We'll work on the titling, I think. The numbering system is probably not super ideal, but it is the third chance for one player to qualify directly into the Battlement stage and skip all the riffraff on the Gauntlet stage where it's open quals, open season. Hope you guys are having a wonderful sort of end to your weekend, start to your week this fine Sunday. I was out earlier and managed to come on back after updating the game just in the nick of time for our future homies, future champions, perhaps, to make magic happen. Let's go. So I'm going to go ahead and get our overlay ready. The opening matchup here that we're going to be casting is the Shambler as Terran taking on Grasseater as Zerg. And every match is a best of 5. So I think we're just about ready to get going, crack-a-lackin' on that front. And now I just need to prepare to use the correct overlay on the... Yeah! See, we have Grasseater. What's going on? Well, you're not all out of bubblegum, maybe, hopefully. But if you are, you at least have the stream. How you doing? God Wheat? God Wheatius? Wheatus Maximus. Aw, yeah, boys. We're going live to our first match here for Cosmonarchy's latest and greatest Tribunal stage, Tribunal of Torment! And we got Shambler's the yellow Terran in the bottom right. Check out his Masons. They're all custom and shit. And in the top left, we got Grasseater. He's, Delft Blue. No, it's Dark Sapphire. Well, whatever. He's Zerg. He's gonna die. Probably 3-1 in my head. My mind predicted. There you go. That was my impression of, Godweed after 2 beers. Got him. Somehow they deepened his voice. Can you believe that? Alright, so... I do predict that Shambler will take this match. However, I do also predict that we will see some interesting things. Speaking of interesting, if you are interested in going ahead and giving us some interaction over on the Twitch channel, you can bet your hard-earned minerals that you get automatically for free by doing nothing. You freeloader. You got 2 minutes to place your prediction, and we'll be running that every single match of this best of 5. Somebody's internet is not doing the heavy lifting. However, the Mason is doing some punching. By the way, the reason I didn't decide to increase the network is that it does not help you. If you're having intermittent lag like this, it will not help you. But Shambler has nerfed himself, and I guess his opponent, so that's alright. We'll figure it out later. While the Drolettes are getting punched, the Hydrathen is on the way. This is a style that actually not a lot of Terrans have been going up against recently, so we'll see if Shambler has a reaction to it. A Hydra style with probably, I'm guessing, a couple of Hydras as the first unit, and then some Izira cores might come out later on, is going to be an interesting little pivot for us to look at. It is a Maverick-focused style. You can see the new Maverick model also on display, courtesy of Solstice. We might make some adjustments to it, but we'll definitely make some adjustments to the Mason. It's not quite all the way there yet, but I did need to push a new update to the game, and this guy was already in there, and I figured, well, why not, you know? It's not a horrendous downgrade, it's just, it's an incomplete upgrade, you know what I mean? One thing, I guess, if I'm allowed to wax philosophical about the things that I might adjust, I might see adjusted is when you see the Masons moving down, the thruster graphic actually kind of is visible between parts of their back side, their jetpack, if you will. And I think that makes the graphic feel unnecessarily brittle, like it's too thin back there or something. But anyway, that's only one thing that we might adjust, materials and stuff may be adjusted as well. But I think the biggest thing is the animations. We'll have it, it looks like it's kind of just chilling. Big chillin' while it's mining or working or something. And I think that's one thing to adjust. As it turns out, the Mason is a rare case where it wasn't rendered with perspective on, but it was rendered at a different angle than... Yeah, Grass Eater's realizing basically what I was saying. Yeah, it's rendered at a different angle than the typical unit. So for that reason, it does make it look a little bit weird. Now, Shambler has no idea how Grass Eater could have possibly bamboozled him and intercepted him in the process. So now he's under attack, and he's going to have to bring all of his Masons back home. It does end up stimming. He's not focusing down the right Izira core. They're just kind of ambiently taking some damage. So these guys will get a couple of frags to their names. But really the big victory there for Grass Eater is that all of the Mavericks did not end up making a beeline for this Hatcherosk. We got the Night Fox SE2 following us. Welcome, Fox. Hope you're doing well. Thank you for the follow. Pump up the numbers. We got over 1,000 homies on Discord. Can you believe it? And now we have 438 Twitch followers. That's pretty cool. Now, I think Grass Eater is about to have 438 Mavericks in his base. Let's see if he can deal with that. He does have a little bit of a flank setup here. I thought those units were going to go across the map. He's going to be all right. He's going to be all right. And we do indeed have Zerg here. What a great soundbite. As all of the Mavericks end up dying. Traded for 5 Izira cores. It's not the worst. There is a :D. So that's psychological warfare as a star pad is set up there. One singular Maverick off to the side. There's another guy that was probably going to be going towards a third base, but the Hatcherosk right now is mostly producing, and there are some Drolets being made over here, but for the most part, he's just trying to come up here and scout. Wow, what do you know? More Izis. What could I have possibly foreseen with this? A dozen Mavericks and counting as more stockades are being assembled. You're not going to get past all of these, but at least he scouts the star pad. I'm kind of curious as to what Shambler's star pad location really meant this whole time. And so far, Grass Eater actually has only made Izira cores, and Shambler has only made Mavericks. Now, we're going to see a little bit of a change to that as the Ski-Back Scab is on the way, and of course the star pad. I mean, if you made a Maverick out of a star pad, I'd be pretty surprised and immediately disqualify you from a tournament. Instead, it will be an Anseal trying to provide detection. I wonder if he expects that because he's going Mass Bio, he's shown Mass Maverick, that there's going to be something other than Izira cores coming his way. This is a pretty scary number of them, but the micro should serve Shambler okay here. And while it initially looks pretty scary, these are not the Izira cores of old, where they absolutely would have 100% annihilated Shambler there, but they would have had less of them, so maybe not. But the Izira core of old did a little bit more damage and cost less resources, or cost more resources rather, and so it was like not really buffed, just changed. Not buffed or nerfed, just changed to be less in the damaging front and more in the spammable front, which is exactly Grass Eater's flavor, it seems. Anseal getting licked a couple of times. Some of these Mavericks are pretty wounded, but they will be held at the pass, and you can stim and rush down these Izira cores. Is he going to go for another stim, though? I mean, that would feel really dangerous. We already have anti-drop set up here from Grass Eater. I feel like he started that before even seeing the star pad. I could be wrong about that. A little bit lackadaisical on that Anseal positioning. Lets some of his Mavericks take a little bit of damage, and he could have let free a couple of shots there to bounce and kill a couple Mavs, but we already have some static defense being erected here. And the macro hatch, I like that kind of style. This is a good opportunity to see what Grass Eater is all about. He ends up going for 5 Skithra cores. What? What? Also, that Zerg here soundbite wasn't just a random soundbite. It was the acquisition of another Prime sub, courtesy of I Am the Weed of God. Thank you, son. Appreciate it. So we got a Sieve in the natural. We got a Vestry coming up here for some healing. And it looks like Shaman Anseal Maverick with some Cyprians to boot is definitely going to be the way that this cookie crumbles. There's a little bit more cohesion between like the Maverick and the Cyprian. I am wondering, maybe we can make the Cyprian even brighter by contrast and the Maverick even darker by contrast. Oh, that random Maverick actually spotting the Skithra cores, and he colon slashes And Shambler doesn't even know it. Was not paying attention and is now caught typing and didn't look. I don't think he looked. What? All right, well, let's find out. Shamans are on the way. 11 Hydras. And there are a lot of watchdogs being assembled. So I guess he did figure it out. But that was really funny, the typing, tactical typing. Some burrowed Izira cores over and the natural. And we have a macro hatch all the way back here by the drop site. I like that, actually. That's pretty good. Solstice and Fox in the chat. How are you guys doing? He looked after the typing. Yeah, okay. I missed that then. We're once again going to have that little intermittent network time, which is a good opportunity to remind you that thanks for checking out Cosmonarchy. You can support future show matches with a little donation if you like, and that's streamlabs.com/pronago. And you can also buy merch. Can you believe that? Holidays are coming. Watchdog will zone away those skits. Unlikely to get too much value right about now. And we will end up having a Stockade number 5 on the way. As the third base is going to be landed, we have a double expand from our Zerg player, which is very Zergy. And making a ton of Hydras at this stage of the game. I do think he's going to need Bactals, and probably a good number of Bactals. Right now, he's got a brawly army, but this army will sustain and do a lot of damage. It feels like Grass Eater has a chance to just get run over here if he's not too careful. He has capped his gas in the natural, and now the main. Needs to saturate it straight away and see if he can buy enough time. We're going to see the final cut of that power generator blow up. I think maybe Grass Eater caught that. And, well, he's kind of arcing back and forth. His Bactals are out in the open. This could be a catastrophe for him. He's not making any more either. But is it going to be enough to just have the 4 Bactals and the Ancials off to the side? The Shaman's kind of out of order. All the way down over yonder. The Cyprian's now making engagements. There's no Hurricanes to rend the armor. The Izira cores will block the shots from the Cyprian. It feels like it's mostly just a stratified change up here, right? Like, the Mavericks up here died, and all of the Zerg down here died, so they end up just sort of bisecting each other and then saying, all right, we're going this way now. No anti-air defenses at this third base, but a kind of untimely third from Grass Eater's perspective. He might not expect it there. The skits could have some value going in that direction. They also could just be held in reserve and then come in to erase the Ancial energy. Meanwhile, an Atlas has begun, so despite all of this Vespene investment, Shambler is gearing up to double down on that and scale up the tech tree. And this is where I think the game can get out of Grass Eater's hands. But he is getting up to a reasonable set of economy. He's behind Shambler in terms of current income and current worker count. Actually, he's ahead of Shambler in the current department, thinking about it. He has way better saturation on his third than Shambler does, and he's got the gas base and a fourth base ready to be saturated. But right now, the Tethfith Swamp mono-comping for the moment, adding more hatches. And by, mono-comping, I mean he's only got access to 6 units, which is a mono-comp in Cosmonarchy terms. Cycling back and forward. We do have the Bactals at a much nicer count than before. The Izira cores are not upgraded yet because the swamp isn't done, but this is a fight before the tech can be articulated by Shambler. It's not even finished yet, so both players fighting at a moment of sort of tech transition, but I think this favors the Zerg, actually. The Bactals not really being pressured right now, and even though there's a lot of Mavericks here, they are soon going to be erased, and just like that, I feel like Shambler just lost a lot of his sort of map presence. 12 Izira cores are going to pop behind this attack and reinforce. On the front lines, we got Stockades on the low ground here. That's going to get spawn camped pretty easily, but will it occupy Grass Eater enough to ignore attacking the third base? Or to potentially crash upon these final steps here at the natural choke point. It does feel like this is an awkward position to continue the attack in, but Hydras are going to be able to help deal with this Stockade, and that will at least blow that open. But I don't think he can realistically break this. Now, at the same time, if Shambler decides to come out and just try to go for a straightforward fight while his Ancials are in the front lines, not helping whatsoever for his backline, that is going to be a disaster for him. He's making 3 captaincies right now. He doesn't need to force the issue. He just needed to not invite Grass Eater in a moment of weakness. A lot of Cyprians finishing on the high ground now. His Masons in the natural are going to be heckled, and he is going to need to evacuate. Up he goes, but losing a lot. Grass Eater, remember, he already had a better armed economy, if you will, but he's going to take out the natural completely, and it doesn't matter that Shambler retains the worker advantage. A Trojan that had nothing in it ended up distracting some of what Grass Eater has. Now remember, we do have those captaincies finishing. They're not really making power units right in this moment. Those Skitzer cores mostly seem to have... oh, they're over here, some of them. Down goes the star pad. No further ant seals will be generated. Can he break through? I think the answer is no. He's probably going to need some Tetzora cores or just to crush the last base that's actually mining. Remember, this is going to deplete very soon here. So at that point, the mineral income will be very, very demure. Now, 15 Bactyls are definitely going to help him out. The Zorka Shroud as well. Try to crowbar himself into that position. He's making a lot of the Izira cores. He had a humongous bank. Grass Eater leading from the front right now. And we have some units over here, so these Skitzer cores are just going to discover the base and allow the rest of the ground army to clean it up. They won't do much damage to it by themselves. I think that you start to look for other bases as soon as your opponent doesn't, like, leave the game when their natural has been broken. You know, it is Shambler. He does like to play it out to the grim, bitter end. And Grass Eater making a humongous mistake by just leaving a bunch of, Hydras out there. If Shambler's going to come back into this game, it's going to be off of the back of moves like that, where Grass Eater just leaves his army out and doesn't really bother, responding to the threat. Trojan has been shooed away by Izira cores of all things. Not much saturation here on the extra satellite bases for Grass Eater either. Must be said, as we take stock, he had a humongous bank, but he didn't really spend it on getting any richer. Now, Shambler can't move out. That's another thing. Is the context within which Shambler can move out is if he ends up trying to pick off some of these satellite bases that he has at least scouted over towards the 11 o'clock position. He's going to see that the army is in the middle of the map, and he is going to go ahead and land a ministry over at the double gas base, of course off-center, as they often are. We have captaincies under construction. That's the fourth one. We are going to get those reclaimers online here pretty soon. Apostles coming out, but with the sheer number of Bactyls that are here and the fact that the Tetzora cores are unlikely to be brought down, we don't have any armor rend, remember, no apollyoid adhesive. And some Skitzer cores are getting a little bit cheeky over here. It looks like, yeah, they'll be brought down pretty quickly, and just like that, Tetzora cores cycling through, Hydras and Izira cores. I mean, he hasn't actually leveraged the lake as yet. 9 of them are about to pop, but back at home. But he doesn't really need to either, you know what I mean? It looks like he's kind of dancing with the fight. We'll check the natural saturation when we can. Okay, it looks like it's back online fully. So Shambler has a little bit more income than we give him credit for. However, he's not really spending his bank as it is, not very efficiently anyway. The Tetzora cores aren't able to get to the front lines the way that you would want them to, but the Shaman count isn't high enough to sustain the front line for the Terran. And the Bactyls, especially as those Lakers start to burrow, if they can get to the front line to begin with, but the Bactyls are bouncing so much, I don't think it matters, boys. I think Shambler has been crushed for real this time. He does not have the ability to field enough units. Maybe there's an argument to be made that his Shaman stack should have overcome that, but he did not have it in the right spot, and he just didn't have enough firepower to deal with that. Every attack on a Tetzora core just about was given a retaliatory strike. His natural will be broken well and truly this time. Not enough units to defend the third either. Grass Eater can go for that, and he doesn't need to bother monitoring the army at this point. The Lakers will clear out the third base at 6 o'clock, and that will be game 1 for Grass Eater, which, honestly, I can't believe I'm saying. The fantasy GG timing will continue, I suppose. Emulating the best of the Terran race. What a massacre. He's resting all of his hopes and dreams in the Apostle, the sort of Apostle Shaman ball. Grass Eater will eventually figure that out and start to cycle back, it looks like. The lake is spine killing the Bactyl on the way out, which is really good. Yeah, the Lakers are going to be the sort of tool that defeats this hope. Shambler is coping, as Shambler often does, to be honest. I mean, at what point do you say... He has come back from, like, seemingly... Not as... No, this position's pretty bad, but he has come back in the past from very destitute spots. And so, on the one hand, I understand it. But on the other hand, whatever psychic damage you think you're inflicting upon your opponent, you are also suffering yourself. Izira cores will shut down the gas mining over there at the double gas base. And as soon as you walk out like this, you're asking to be surrounded. By the way, the Shamans are not deployed, so they, looks like they are now. But they were not providing the necessary detection for those lake is, and now the Zorius are going to get in here and muck everything up, consuming the corpses for the brood spawn. Shambler will call GG as he's well and truly routed. About 5 minutes too late, but that's all right, boys. We got ourselves our game number 1 in the bag. And that is pretty wild. Oh, I forgot to adjust the seeding there. The seeding was technically incorrect for those players. Shambler is seed number 5, and we have Grass Eater as seed number 12, the lowest seed in the tournament, if you can believe that. Just posted a dub. He only needs 2 more to finish things off in style. Is it likely? I don't know. That was Shambler's map pick of Crisis Vector, however. That does add a little bit of a complication to it. We take a look at the next map. He banned Acid Test, picked Crisis Vector. It was Grass Eater who banned Mass Destruction and picked Frosted Forest. So that's where we will be going for Game 2. I should have bet like 10 minerals on grass, yeah. All of those resources just straight to the void. Unbelievable. I don't know what Grass Eater just typed or why he just typed. Oh my god. I can only imagine what thoughts are going through Shambler's mind right now. I will be the good admin and say nothing. No. I don't understand. Grass Eater is also confusing me, to be honest. Dude, I think he's just trying to confuse Shambler to be. I'm gonna be. He's confusing me, but I think he's actually just trying to. Okay, never mind. He just didn't understand what was happening. That's okay, guys. We can't all. Sometimes we win games, but we can't always know why we won the game or even how. All right, lads, we are getting into game number 2. This is Frosted Forest. It is a fun little map here that I am expecting good things from. This is a map by Biddy B. Jujic made Crisis Vector. We've seen Crisis Vector a gabillion times, so you know all about it, especially on Weekend Wages. Although not the most recent Weekend Wage. The most recent Weekend Wage, thanks to a very nice bounty by Biddy B. It was, yeah. That was... He spent $90 to make sure Crisis Vector was only played once. Shambler is in the bottom left as our... I'm not actually sure what color this is. It's not Harlequin, though. It's not... It's Vine Green, then, maybe. Emerald Terran. In the top right, we have Grass Eater, Dark Sapphire, Zerg yet again. 4 rags. Oh, he's going to kill 2 of his Mason. Unbelievable. Well, he uses 2 Masons to, like... What would a 4-axe be? You'd take 2 Masons off immediately and send them across the map. That's probably what you would do. I canceled my pool, :D. Yeah, whatever grass is, whatever kind of entity grass is, he definitely needs some kind of update. He's going to go for the Hydrothen yet again, the same as before. Shambler establishes dominance by taking some of that Vespine gas intended for his ally. By the way, this doesn't deplete, so there's no... it causes typing. That's about it. Second Stockade coming. It looks like this build is pretty similar to how it went last time, and I guess you can say the same about Grass Eater's approach. This is by the way, this is a legit strategy since you can cycle these out. You can just leave this on to make your enemy's workers confused as they are trying to harvest, and then you can grab some gas instead. And pretty sure you can even shift click that, but I haven't tested it out myself in a little bit. So definitely something to think about. any of those maps that come out that have the mineral walls that you can deplete, you can do manually a little bit faster because you don't have to build a refinery in like that one Flash game on Monty Hall, I think it was. So it's definitely different, but it's cool. The Mavericks are going to go ahead and form a little ring there, little concave, as the Mason returns home with minerals stolen from Grass Eater. Unbelievable. Theft is rampant. 8 Izira core timing here for Grass Eater, and this is honestly a little bit of a sleeper, right? Like, Shambler's going triple stockade. He has as many units as you can really possibly have versus this, but he's not going... I mean, it's bio, and so the 8 Izira cores could still do some damage here. Now, if they get in and they see a fight they don't like, it just kind of means that Grass Eater won't develop his economy as fast. You can tell that the worker count here is definitely not favoring the Zerg. That isn't the end of the world, necessarily. It just kind of means that he's going to be in a different sort of spot. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. But this is shaping up to be like a fairly straightforward opener where they're clearly going to be going after each other in a heavier weight sort of sight. I guess 8 Izira cores does danger 13 Mavericks, so this is going to require some adjustments from Shambler. He's already lost some Mavericks. Oh my god, dude. He hasn't killed a single Izira core, and he's already lost most of his Mavericks. He's building an add-on on one of them. I think he might have just been cooked, dude. I think this build just one-shot Shambler. There's no way he can come back from this position. I mean, just like he's got 5 live Izira cores, most of them healthy. Now he's going to try to drill onto them with the Masons, but this is going to cause a lot of pain and suffering. He's got a few Mavericks up here. He's going to have to micro his little heart out. The Masons trying to dematerialize, deconstruct those Izira cores, scrap metal necessary, but I guess they aren't doing as much damage as maybe we all would have expected, but I mean, he holds, but only barely, and with very, very wounded Mavericks at that. So the Cyprians finish up, and Grass Eater probably thought that there was going to be some kind of reaction to that, like his opponent would GG. Instead, he's awkwardly still playing the game. Yeah, I think Grass could have probably done something there a little bit better with the unit micro, especially if he was like focused on these Masons or picked off the couple extra Mavericks at the side, but Shambler already declaring the game over, but still playing. Classic Shambler, by the way. This is a classic Shambler. Well, now, talk about risk and reward. You've got 1 minute to place your bet now, because I forgot to do it earlier, Godwe. Place your bet right now. Who wins? Shambler with a shattered economy, or Grass Eater with all this advantage? The bets come in for Grass. This might be a time where you bet Shambler. I'm gonna be honest. These are looking like really silly games. This kind of does throw me back to like seeing defensive Terran turtled up like this. It does throw me back. It is a bit of a throwback. All right. The Bio Army's in a bit of a position of power here. We're gonna need to see what Grass Eater wants to do behind that. He's got his ski backed up. Much faster tech to Shamans this time around. So this is an opportunity for Shambler to maybe show us what the strength of his composition actually is. He is very committed on the one base, but eventually he can start to think about expanding. Grass Eater, on the other hand, is making a couple of Bactyls, making some Hydras, an Ovaleth, and of course his third base, but we saw how he was very slow to saturate the third base, and that seems to have extended to his natural now. Very slow to saturate those. The bigger question, though, is he actually going to be able to hold against all of the Mavericks, the Cyprians, only 3 of them, and of course the 3 Shamans. It feels like they are kind of deadly, and the Bactyls are not with this army right now, so I guess he wasn't expecting Shambler to move across the map, but when you see that many units kind of concentrated in one spot, that is the area where you need to really think about it. His Drollots are going to start to draw some attention of Shamblers, but instead he's just going to try to focus on the micro side of things. No real significant threat here from Grass Eater as he shuffles back to behind his circuits. One Bactyl will go down after firing its shot, and he's going to see if he can run back into the main base. He could just be going after Larvosks here, but he's actually Maybe, does he think he can go for the kill? That doesn't feel right to me. I think the reinforcements that are being made from Grass Eater are going to clean this up. But he, instead of going for the Larvosk earlier, when he had more Mavericks to do it, because as you can see, the eggs are blocking quite a few of the shots, he went for the actual attacking the army. That feels like a mistake, as he will probably still get this Larvosk, but he could have gotten a lot more than just one. More and more Aziricors spawning. Eventually they will overwhelm and overpower the Shamans. And not much else is going to be achieved there. 1 HP. Oh, actually does regress the back, though. The Aziricor wasn't in the right spot to block. So after all of that, the army is destroyed. Back at home, we have many more on the side of the Cyprian. But remember, Bactals annihilate Cyprians if there's any sort of front line. And we have 8 Skithrakors on the way because I'm guessing Grass Eater is supposing here, oh, there's probably not that much anti-air back at home. And he's right. I mean, there's an army, but if that ends up moving a different direction or the front line can still engage it. By the way, Treasury Expand Ministry behind it. It feels like Shambler making some corner cuts here to try to get back into the game, which, understandable. Didn't do that much economic damage. Killed a couple of Drilleth that were being rallied out. You can't approach this army with Aziricors, that's for sure. You need a little bit more than that. The Aziricors need to be playing defense, interception for some of the other moves. Now, the Skiths are starting to amass, but he wants to go in with all 8, I feel like. Instead, going in with only 4 isn't really that helpful comparatively. Now, how fast do the Masons start to pull away? That's a bit of a different story. The Skiths need to go ahead and give chase. One more shot might kill a couple Masons. Looks like the answer is yes. Now, he'll run in with the Aziricors and see what else he can do. But again, without Bactals, I don't know how you're going to actually kill this ball of units, especially since a couple of Shamans have since been manifest. It's a little bit of economic damage in terms of slowing down Shambler's economy, forcing him to pull away. I think he killed, what, 1 Mason? But he is hemorrhaging a lot of units in the interim. His Skiths come back in. Actually, he shut down the mining in the main base for a little bit here. And a couple of units are getting picked apart as they are lured by the siren song of the Zerg out of the main base. Look at this. Shambler making the decision, perhaps? No, he decides to fall back. And the few Masons that are actually here are in danger. It looks like the Vestry will be targeted, and that is actually that's not a trivial pickup right there. That is actually pretty good to pop, especially since the Shamans are what's been bothering you, and he's only made 4. That's a manageable count for the Zerg to deal with. We sort of pass our attention back to the main section of the map there in the middle. The third base, again, barely saturated. The natural, a little bit more so, but again, there's nothing happening on this ridge. No ridge mining whatsoever for Vespene. 1,000 minerals. More macro hatches could be made. Is going to expand to the 2 o'clock position while the Bactals start to gestate. And the Skithrakors are exiting stage left with actually going after these Watchdogs. I think they're in enough number to deal with this. And meanwhile, the Terran army is leaving the building, but that is going to open things up. There's 2 more Watchdogs where that came from. Shutting down the mining in the natural is pretty significant. The Vestry being rebuilt inside the natural as well. Now they'll return to the main base, and the ground army is moving forward. This is not really the positioning you want. You need the Aziricors out in front, you know what I mean? Balling up. Shambler trying to make a game of it. Now getting right in the face of the Bactals, but I don't know if that's a great move. Intercepting, body blocking, linebacker time for the Aziricors. I feel like the Bactal count is still good enough. And yeah, he's kind of ignoring the Shamans, but the incidental bounce damage is still enough to wipe it. And the Skithrakors come back in afterwards to just go for it. He types out a little bit of shade towards Arda Turtle, another Zerg in the tournament, and GG. Guys, that's the second game Grass wins. All back to back. I mean, is it over for Shambler? I don't know. I can't believe it. I feel like surely he must be able to dig himself deep. He even said in the chat, and I don't think this was hyperbole or like, you know, some kind of irony. I don't think there was anything about it there. I think he was serious when he said, I'm playing the OP race and signed up as Terran. I'm pretty sure he genuinely believes that Terran is OP. So what's he doing wrong here? And what is Grass Eater doing so right? Ay. Don't forget to set up the bets. I got you. We'll go ahead and redo it just now. Get it prepared. Marsupial says when you were testing air units, you found Skiths have good DPS versus buildings with the 2 armor pin and guaranteed double hit. Yeah. I think if you get enough of them, it's pretty good no matter what. But it is definitely, it's definitely different, man. Definitely different. I also loved that you said, by the way, Marsupial, that I love that you said that wraiths are OP because nobody believes that. Like none of the Terrans think wraiths are good. So I mean, like I think Shopdog has some wraith builds that he uses. So that was really just hilarious to me. That was a very vicious build order on Frosted Forest. We now go to Battle Spectre, an enforced cross-spawn map, where you will see an interesting setup between them. A known wraith abuser, they just keep quiet about it. Okay. All right. Dude, Grass Eater's a fucking guy. I hope he does. I hope he cannolis. He said, I'm going to hatch first. Something tells me. Something tells me no. But here we go. It's time. We're going into our third game, and it could be the last one, as we already have Series Point up and running. You got a minute or so to make your prediction there. Versus the two players. Shambler is going to be going for a 6-Rax, and Grass Eater, well, he's harvesting Vespene, so he's definitely not hatch firsting. I love that there are so many opinions about the two races and their various composite parts, because let's be real here, guys. Let's be real. If you talk to the top Zergs, they say, you gotta play Pool. You can't play Den. Pool is better versus Terran. Meanwhile, we got down here in the doldrums, Class 2s and the Class 3s. Oh, man. Hurry up and bet we trying to take your minerals. What's up, Sausage? Hope you're doing well here. If I'm dropped class because of this, so should AOT. AOT hasn't even played yet! What's the shade on AOT? Our AOT's match is the winner of Smarty Dog Live. We don't even know if AOT's played. Well, the Mavericks are starting to stem across the map. He's done this build to AOT so many times. AOT's ZVZ is pretty nuts. He almost killed Hamster in ZVZ, and he killed Jack Yelansky in ZVZ, and those were tournament games. But his EVT has been strugglesome, and it's an important one to have. So it is a pool start here, and the Maverick will start to make things a little bit awkward. Oh, I love this little move. Immediately put some good damage. Oh, one more shot. It's a one more shot game. He could have borrowed that wounded Droleth, but won't do it. Won't get away with it. Shambler. Shambler. Oh, Shambler. That's it. You're class 3 now. I love the balls to just hatch anyway at this point. You know what I mean? That guy was never getting out of there, I'll tell you that much. Beautiful. Losing only one Droleth to a committed 6 Stockade is honestly not bad. Double Stockade, but, you know, he was making Masons after the first one. And the Zets are going to move across the map. This will force a more defensive formation out of the Terran. He might be able to pick one Maverick. I think with the Stim, he's probably all right, but you can see how fast Zets are. Even the Stimmed Maverick can't quite outrun them in a perfect way. But yeah, when you see this many, you got to turn around. Testing. Yeah, that's good. I think if he just makes quas, he can hold the ramp, but he's not making those. He's making more Zeths. So I think, yeah, he's he's going to unsmiley face real quick here in a second. At the same time, though, this is only, what, 10 Mavs? So the stim goes through. He's going to try to go after the hatch. The Zeths are able to do some kind of counterattack, but there's some... Yeah, Shambler's kind of read the situation well enough, I think, that it's going to be all right. So you know, Grass Eater is going to go ahead and concede the base. That actually kind of caught him a little bit. He's not making any... Where is his... Oh, okay, his Zeths are down here. But he doesn't have enough. You know what I mean? So this is the kind of problem that Grass Eater was facing. A flawless series was on the cards, but not anymore. There's plenty more where that came from on the counterattack, and everything is dead for Grass Eaters. So we will be going to Game 4 after all. That will have to be it. GG's for that. And I can tell you guys that... Shambler's such a fucking idiot, dude. I can't believe it. He takes his own, perhaps what could be his only win in the series, and he's just like, yeah, but I gotta be rude about it. I gotta be rude about it. All right, we'll get to hosting game number 4 here between these two. I'll let you guys know that will be Knife's Edge, a 3-spawn map. I actually always thought this seemed to favor Terran, but admittedly, I see a lot of Newt versus Zeke on this map, and so I think it's like a, you know, Newt wins. Or also, Aoud would always pick this map versus Zerg. You know, he would just clean house. Zeke, AOT, doesn't matter. Though I am going to be honest, guys. When you think about that situation, I think if he makes quas at home and keeps the Zeths nearby for a trap, he can just kill the Mavericks, keep his Hatchrosk, and he's still in an advantaged state. So I don't think the pool opener is what changed the calculus that much. The Hydra then would have come online later. The initial Mavericks would have had more damage. Yeah, definitely an interesting little tidbit there. We're going to go to Knife's Edge. And it must be said as well, as we get into this game, I didn't think this would be the case. I thought if Grass Eater picked up wins in this series, it would be due to maybe almost a little bit of blind luck or something. But actually, Shambler just doesn't seem to be playing as well to his normal level. I will acknowledge that, you know, he's had some pretty good practice games. And it's not really that the things are not going the way that he practiced, and that's what's throwing him off. I guess maybe technically that is true, but my sort of thought process here, my observation would be to say that it feels like Shambler's moves here are just a little bit off. He is the X factor that's gone differently. And so that is my my challenge there, or my charge, my expectation. We'll see if he can make magic happen. And try to pull the reverse sweep. Already one way to, one stop on that bus. Scouting his opponent first is pretty good. Larvosk opener once again, and it will probably be that Hydra follow-up. I feel like the early Mavericks here shouldn't move across the map if, you know, you scout the Larvosk, but you're this late in, you know, actually traveling there. But Shambler has his own idea. We'll see if he can find some value with it. Mason is 4 more hits from that Droleth, or any Droleth, away from death. And 1 pair of Rilla Road Cores. Not a bad choice if you weren't going to be spending down the larva anyway. Zergs are always so skittish about moving off the K-Grid, but the Rilla Rokor outruns the workers, so you can chase it and kill it, and that would have been one less worker there. Now you're going to see here that the Mavericks are on the high ground. I still can't believe Shambler isn't making a Huracan or anything. I feel like 2 of those and good positioning will keep you insulated versus the Iziracore build. And we're just waiting on 1 more larva here, and the 8 Iziracore start will be complete. But maybe that's it. He made Rilla Rokors instead of the keeping an extra larva. I don't think that's quite how it works. I think he would have been capped on larva earlier. Now he's going to go into Droleth, so... And this is such a hard angle to hold with just Mavs. That's the other thing, too, is that at this level, I don't actually know what game plan they were coming into each map with. You know, Shambler could have comfortably sat here and thought, all right, this isn't my main... Oh, owned. This isn't my main enemy here. Looking past his opponent a little bit, and then said, all right, you know, I'm just going to go ahead and make... you know, go through the motions on this one and prepare for my next opponent. This should be like a 3-0. He might not have had a prep in mind for Knife's Edge. Expansion on the way for Grass Eater. And I like that he went for the 7 Iziracores, but they were mostly there as a defensive measure to keep him the Terran off of his back. And so we're going to get into that sort of mid-game section here, or the mid-game is a strong word for it, early stage of the mid-game, or later stage of the early game, past the first 5 minutes or so without utter bloodshed. And by the way, this little patrol move, it's a cute one that I think I've seen. I think Grass Eater was the first one. It might have been Cannoli, but I think Grass Eater was the first one to realize that you can do this to refresh the timed life by having the patrol path end up on the K-Grip. Now the Iziracores are going to move across, as it feels like it's been a little bit too quiet, and he will end up confirming that his opponent is up ahead. I don't know about charging into the stimmed Mavericks, though. That feels a little bit ballsy. And by the way, Grass Eater has no military units being made behind this. He's got 4 more Iziracores that have hatched, and he's going to need to set up some static defense at the natural, I think. A pool is on the way. Oh, the run-by of the single Iziracore. Not able to get too far, and it will be apprehended inside the main base, it looks like. Although it's going to get close enough. It actually will get a complete scout off. That's really funny. The one Maverick will finish it off, but still. That was a cute little moment. If it had a little bit more health, then it would have maybe been dangerous. Those 4 Iziracores from earlier that were like made later, yeah, those are the only things that are left alive right now because Grass Eater was still hell-bent on actually fighting. Oh, God. The micro. Almost non-existent there for Grass Eater. So the Kagran will finish, but he needs to wait for the next round of Iziracores to pop, and burrowing the Droleth isn't too bad, you know, I guess. Oh, he could have just killed so many Navs with them. He didn't realize. All right, so he's taken some economic damage. He's lost 1 worker worth of, you know, by virtue of losing that structure there. Anseal moving across. Only 9 Mavericks. Well, 4 Iziracores can't really contend with that, so especially with the Anseal support. Again, Grass Eater shouldn't be moving across the map so boisterously, I feel like. But I also recognize you don't want to play super passively, per se. Now, the Starpad variation of this bio build that we have Shambler doing is designed to apply pressure a little bit earlier on. And, you know, you can go for a drop or you can go for Anseals for protection, but you can't sustain your composition. This is the thing that we saw in Crisis Vector earlier as well. And it's really hard to keep yourself safe from all of these bounces, dude. Down go all of the Anseal energy. Narrowly keeping some of these Mavericks alive, but others are not so lucky. Could have chased down the last 2 low HP ones, but they won't matter too much. That one that was burrowed, finally, Droleth turning into a structure that can be used for static defense. And the natural was pretty late, but it's only being used for Vespine right now. We still don't have an add-on for any of the stockades. 3 of them active, 1 of them being made. And he's already set some watchdogs up here by the main base, knowing that the Skittercore switch has really bopped him a few times. But we know that that's not really what Grass Eater is going for, right? He's got the pool. And it looks like he's going to try to expand the K grout a little bit inside his main base, which is not a bad tactic. Catching up in terms of workers. Our Zerg player naturally is always going to be a little bit lower on the worker count in the early game. They want to stay competitive militarily. And this has been a bit of a strenuous stage, you know, first 5 minutes or so. A little bit difficult. Vestry has begun. So that is what we are going to be doing. And Godweed sounding the Zerg here alarm. I'd be a little bit alarmed if my 12 Iziricors were all the way on this other side and had no idea what was on the other side of that ramp. Looks like he's going to just go ahead and go for it. Full send. Mavericks were not stim, so their DPS was pretty minimal. Still, trading one Mav for 2 Iziricors, you're going to be pretty happy with that. But is Shambler just going to bite all the way back to the defenses and rallies of Grass Eater? It seems like the answer might be yes. He's chased down one more Iziricor. Some of these Mavs are so wounded already. Only a few Hydras, so not really fighting with the best of ranged combatants. 4 Ancials at this point are pretty potent. But if they're not on top of the right units, then it doesn't matter. Now, they are on top of the center, sort of like the tip of the spear formation that was coming in there. And again, Grass Eater fighting away from his rally, fighting away from his Circuith. Feels like such an unforced error. He's got 9 more Iziricors coming, and the Circuith will be brought down. Oh, another stim pack needs to be popped. Where's the stim? Takes way too long to activate. Could have been so much better. Now the Iziricors will appear, and that bought a lot of time, it feels like. Only one Circuith, by the way, was very ambitious. Drolets are going to get activated. Drolets getting on top of them, trying to pierce through the Ancials. And they'll do just that. Looks like no Droleth going down in the process, and so back to gas saturation, back to seeing what else can be made, but the Cyprians are here now, and this should actually be a dangerous spot. He actually can't... Oh my god! He just canceled his Iziricors that were going to bail him out. Maybe he can still do something with the few that he's got. Remember, the Cyprians can't penetrate them, so they're not nearly as powerful. And the Ancials are starting to falter, and it looks like the Bio Wave has been routed. One of the Ancials even going down here. Oh my god, the Ancials are not helping. Unbelievable. Well, the Iziricors are going to finish after all. Grass Eater kind of panicking a little bit. Third base been scouted here. Iziricor coming down the ramp, not able to get more than a single shot off. Those Ancials are back up and running. And now, I mean, there's only Mavericks. You can deal with this with Iziricors. You just need to actually order your units up the ramp. Oh. Kind of confusing situation here for Shambler, I'm sure. He's very, like, the pressure must be up. You know, his heart rate must be going, as he is one game from elimination, and so many Mavericks just listless in the middle of the map, not actually added to the control group. Could have been reinforcing the front this whole time. Oh, there's nothing back at home for defenses. These 2 Kagrins didn't morph. 4 Mavericks going to come back in. There's only combat. You know, there's 1 Droleth being made, but the Iziricor is moving through the middle of the map, and now coming back. I mean, this is within range. This is within vision of Shambler, but his sort of front line is definitely not as powerful as he would like it to be. One of the Ancials also falling in the process. The Iziricor is just slowing things down. It's pure Iziricor. Pure Iz. And Skithricors were made, but there's only 2 of them out in the front right now. Nothing. Still no circuits. A Zorka Shroud was made. He made the pool a long time ago. Hasn't made a single Zethicor, a single Quaz. Nothing at all. The next round of rotation. Like, at what point did you expect... Oh, it's still going to go. Still going to get popped. He says. And GG. I think the reverse sweep might be on to us, boys, because Grass Eater just did... at what point did he have the read that the aggression would be over? I don't know, but that was such a bad misread on his part. Very, very bad for him. And now we go to what will be decidedly our final game, and it is going to be on Punch Drunk, Port of Knockout. Really feels like at any point the stabilization could have occurred, and then I would have been betting on Grass Eater for sure, knowing what we've seen. But his heroics might actually be over. That might be all he can do to try to be the champion that takes Shambler out. Shambler's second round ban was Potadia, and Grass Eater's was Paradise. If you guys like the maps that we have in our current tournament pool, or if you don't like it, I have news for you. It doesn't matter who you are, I have news for you. All of the maps for the subsequent 3 tribunals that we'll have at the beginning of 2026 are going to be on completely different maps that have not been in the map pool so far. Just wanted to make that announcement here. And we'll get started in our final game between these two players. We've been treated to a 5-game best of 5, and Shambler will be opening up with a very early stockade once again, or at least it's an early scout, but oh yeah, it's just an initial scout. Shambler is the red Terran in the top right, and Grass Eater cross spawn is the Dark Sapphire Zerg in the bottom left. Gonna go for Vespene again, so it looks like we will be seeing that fairly quick move towards a Larvosk into a Hydrith Den, perhaps. I think the pool opener was fine from him on game 3, but he had a misallocation of his units. I don't think he's played that map too much. And then, obviously, the way that Knife's Edge went, if only he could stay alive, he would be fine. You know what I mean? You know, sometimes on these sorts of maps, you'll see players go for what's called a 2/3 proxy when they build, like, somewhere down here, in here, wherever. And it's like a coin flip, you know? Because, you know, your opponent's only going to be on the close position to you, far away from where you're proxying, you know, 1/3 of the time, so to speak. The bets are in, coming in anyway. Shambler's starting to lead the pack. Hydrith Den will be the follow-up, so this is how Grass Eater secured victory in most of his games. Well, specifically, it was Hydrith Den, and then after that, it was ski-backed follow-up. And this time around, the ski-backed was late because he went for a pool, but then didn't make any pool units, among other decisions. And then a Shroud was made, but no Shroud units were actually made. So, on multiple fronts there, it feels like could have been a little bit different. Now, the Box Scout will give Shambler second access to his opponent. He knows where he is. When you see cross spawn at this point, I would hope that Shambler's thinking about a path towards a more conservative game, a more economic game. Can't be full balls to the wall cross spawn. It's at least it's a little bit harder to move units around the map, reinforce, etc. It does feel like Shambler knows enough about the game and about the map in particular, it being his map pick, to warrant a little bit more of a careful and considered path throughout the early game. And then we are going to see those Izira cores come out. Weird to call 7 Izira cores a more middle-of-the-road build, but I don't know. Interesting choice. It's 525 minerals, if my math is correct, so could have been many other things, but was not. And will Grass Eater move directly across the map with him? I guess the answer is yes. Thinking about going for his expansion, starting to droll up behind it. The idea being that he can project force with the map, and I do like this move as well, actually. It's worth pointing this out. He's done this move where he's gone for the expansion, and he's sending most of his units across the map and 1 Izira core to each other spawn. He should be able to just cancel the, or interrupt the Mason making the Ministry on location with this, because all the Mavericks are far away, for whatever reason. Let's see if he actually recognizes that and goes for the choice. No, not quite. He wasn't really paying attention to his units as they entered the domain. So 1 Izira core will go down for free, and all of the Mavericks will slip the net, heading to the high ground on the other side by the mineral-only third base. Invisible window here for Grass Eater to move across the bridge and maybe cause some commotion. One of these Mavericks may end up going down as a result of that little move, and that should be it. I mean, Grass Eater can come in, pick a unit, and walk out. He could have decided to commit the units and, you know, again, interrupt the construction of the Ministry. Shambler pushing the issue and forcing the Zerg off his territory as the Hacharosk finishes back at home. More Izira cores have been made. I was going to say more Hydrith units in general, but only Izira cores. That's it. And it is the Starpad variation once again. This is, besides Frosted Forest, this is essentially how Shambler has opened the games that went longer than the early rush. And so we will see the Ant-Seal come out. See if that's frustration that Grass Eater has been able to navigate. He's going to push again across the bridge, or at least see what's up. I like that he's testing the waters more cautiously now. And once again, the Watchmen will be watched by by acid, by bioplasma. A couple more Iziracors heckling on the sides. Looks like most of these guys were on hold positions, so that's a little bit awkward. And now trying to sick onto this party over here that went across the bridge. That's a fateful choice. Good micro on multiple fronts here from Grass Eater. Back at home, wasn't spending too much money, so he puts that Circuit down and starts to harvest Vespene and minerals with another round of Droleth in the tank. So, reunited as Iziracor's catching some of these units. That's a little bit of a mistake from Shambler to have not been more cautious with his rally. So, really what I want to point out here is that Grass Eater's done a nice job, slowly but surely, putting the hurt on the Bio Army. And he doesn't need to continue doing too much more pressure than this at the moment. I do love his forward positioning because it means that you are going to get the Shambler tactic of, you know, him. He's going to... I love it. He's got balls, dude. He's got cojones. But you are going to, you know, force Shambler to clear you as opposed to just having the area for free. And certainly he's going to be cautious about scouting ahead. But the Iziracors will retreat for the most part. They'll stay on the other side of the two bridges. The clearest, easiest path directly to Shambler's opponent. Watchdogs preemptively now, conditioning from previous games. We do have a ski-backed, but no Skithacores on the way just yet. No Hydras either, so... I have seen some Zergs do a straight-up Tethvith Swamp Rush, and base number 3 going to come out here for Grass Eater, developing, specifically trying to target, I think, the Vespene woes that Zerg can sometimes have. And there it is! The Tethvith Swamp Rush. We are going to see a ton of Tetzoracors. And it might be only Tetzoracors. We do have some Skiths on the way in the meanwhile, but they mostly compete for different resources. So when you see this base here, it does feel like Grass Eater's setting up for multiple victory conditions. He wants to keep his Iziracor count relatively high. He needs to be on the ball with his army. Dialed in if he can be. Cliff advantage could give him a little bit of value there, but for the most part, he just needs to slow this army. I love that he's pulling him away from where he is, forcing stims out, and I would have loved if he kept going towards 12 o'clock, actually, but I recognize that you don't have that much at home, and so you are a little bit concerned about that. So now, finally, Shambler has a little bit of room to maneuver. The Skithacores need to be cautious. They can't be seen too early. And if he gets to like 8 or 9 of them, he can destroy Watchdogs and stuff, as we saw in the game on Frosted Forest. It's pure Maverick so far, with a Mason, for good measure. No Cyprians just yet, but we do have the Vestria, and some Shamans are on the way to sustain the comp. This is a limited opportunity for the Iziracors to get much value at this point. A lot more were just made back at home. Antseal's taking some flack. Skits could go for the Antseal kills, by the way. That could be an opportunity for those air units to get in action, because the splash damage will be breaking the shields a lot faster than the single target bounce damage. And it's just more Iziracor right now. Shroud halfway complete, but nothing from the swamp has been made. And spoiler, he can only really make Vitrilisks from the Skith, which is the Devourer. Not very useful here. Or he can go for the Tetzoracor, but he clearly doesn't want to reveal that he has that yet. Maverick scouting top left to see if there's anything over there. The Skith's going to fly in and be shown at the door by the Watchdogs. He doesn't have enough to really go after the workers here. He'll get a scout off, but poor control on him is going to result in them dying. You can see he's kind of trying to deal with the Vestry, but he's only got 2 Skiths. It's unlikely to make too much happen. You can see a minimal reaction time there. Mineral reaction force from Shambler. Once again, trying to see what he can do. He's got 31 Iziracors, dude. He's committed to the bit. And the Skiths are going to get cleaned up by the Watchdog as the Vestry will be repaired. So, not great success on that front. 10 Hydras being made. What does he want to make all this tech for? He makes the Shroud in 2 games now in a row with no Shroud units yet used. I do like this little run by. This isn't bad. He might even be able to isolate the Shamans. Instead, he's going after the Antseals. I'm not sure what he's going after exactly. Seeing if maybe he can come across the bridges now. He just wants to go for the kill with pure Iziracor. I really don't think this is the play. When he has so much other tech, what is he doing? Grass Eater, a massacre of his Iziracors. He ends up dropping about 26 of them. And now he's going to start to make 9 Bactyls, but his front line is diminished. 12 Droleths idling at the 3rd base. He's going to go ahead and get them set up on the Vespene. Some Lake is on the way, but it feels a little bit late. When you got Antseals and Shamans for detection, you're going to need a hell of a lot more than just 1 or 2 on the Burrowed Attacker. A frustrating series of events here on Game 5, but also in the games that were already lost by Grass Eater. This one still up in the air. It feels like Shambler's very locked into his composition, only now starting to add Cyprians, and even then it doesn't really help him against the threat that he's up against. Third base is sighted. Shambler might be now a bit more aware that he's in some trouble. And finally, we got some Tetzoricors out. This is a bit more reminiscent of the Crisis Vector game in terms of its composition. Lakes came out in the late stage as well as the Teths. But these eggs could get spawn camped. The Bactals are on the other side of the bridge, which is kind of a problem for Shambler, funnily enough. And he will go ahead and just commit to the attack. The Iziricors cancel, revealing what they were. I think he might have thought those were Hydras. That ends up being a little bit of a problem. Now, we do have 6 more Teths completing on the other side. The Mavericks are going to complete the run-in. They are going to go after some workers. What is the saturation, dude? Where are your workers? I guess he's got so many minerals, it doesn't really matter much. But, yeah, he won't be able to get too much in the way of actual kills here. And, you know, he kills some workers. That can be redone in 1 second, basically. One rotation. And only the Ant Seals survive to tell the tale with one Maverick at 6 o'clock. Like, where'd everybody go? No tier 2 on the way. 13 Skithricor is going to come in and try to swing for the fences and batter him. Shroud not upgraded. Hey, it's Zerg Shambler. I'll let somebody wonder how that could possibly happen. No, we have Easter egg unit names, and if you have one that's if you have a Droleth named Shambler, you can the name persists across the structures, so that's really good. Harakans are starting to filter in. I don't know if that's enough. I mean, Tetzoricors really are scary. But not if Grass Eater walks in with just Tetzoricors. He does need to actually... No! No grass! Bad grass. All right. The 13 skits are waiting and ready. And with enough armor on them to absorb Cyprian shots, they can be pretty spooky. He can try to go after the mineral harvesters here, which would hamper some of what Shambler is doing. But they might be instead earmarking for some sort of army squeeze, the one lake is. Is there one still burrowed at the 3 o'clock? No, or 9 o'clock, rather. It looks like maybe the initial shots are here. The Ant Seals can be cleared by the skits. A random stockade has been... Colton! Whoa, this is going to pull Shambler's army out of position. Hold on. The lake is burrowed. That's a really nice lineup there that they're going to have. And the Iziricors, the Tetzoricors, rather, are going to be hampered down by all of the firepower. But there is so much here. More of them rejoining. The Lakers can continue to wander up. The Skithricors have been cleaned up for the most part. There's still a little bit over there, but they're not active in the fight. Those Tetzoricors are indeed dying as somewhat predicted, but the Shamans have all but collapsed. We still don't have anything to deal with the Ant Seals, so even though there's Lakers here, they shouldn't be able to finish the job entirely. The Skithricors will clean some more of those Mavericks, and all in all, it was an expensive loss for both sides, but remember that Shambler's economy is not as good as Grass Eater's, despite the worker lead. That being said, Grass Eater could have a better economy than he currently has, and he could also spend his money a little bit better than he currently is. You know, one thing that I feel like has gone underrated since maybe last tournament, last Acropolis, Zergs have forgotten that Vithrilisks splash the armor rend and attack speeds slow onto ground units beneath the air units. And what do you put over your ground units? The Ant Seal! So, of course, that would be great tech for that. That being said, Shambler taking a bit of a risk here. Is it calculated enough? Remains to be seen. I suppose since Tetzoricor's just now started, there is room for Grass Eater to have this base flattened over here. He's got some units that might actually be useful in just making it a little annoying to deal with. But I suppose we'll wait and see on that front, because instead of even going... Oh, no, hold on. The Lakers are going to reveal it. I was going to say, yeah, he's got Lakers over here that are going to clearly reveal the base. Now, what does Grass Eater want to do? Because he could just decide, all right, yeah, you got that going on for you. You're going to go ahead and commit your army here. Well, the Maverick is probably going to clear that Droleth down at 6. Base gets cleared. And the army's going to get out, I think. Grass Eater taking his foot off the pedal here in a kind of big way. The Zoricors are walking into a very easily controlled area. There is nothing charging those Cyprians to try to get in the way of them. There's no Zorius. There's not enough Iziricors or Teths. He might still be able to clear most of the army, but it wasn't so cost efficient, was it now? Needs to get those Lakers up and running. Dude, there's so many Ant Seals on top of those Cyprians. There you go. Now you've cleared the deck. The one Cyprian, the chosen of God. No, never mind. Goodbye. All right, so 2 Mavericks were left over. We got a third one at the top right or top left main. Another side of Mavericks. Do we have any tech development for Shambler? He did cap his sieves, but the mineral-only base here is kind of, you know, he's making the realization now that he needs to secure 12 o'clock or some other base with gas. Pool being made at the third base, of all places. Where is your production? Grass Eater, you're locked in combat with someone who seems to be getting more powerful by the moment. There's a lot of Lakers. You don't really want to fight into all these Lakers, I feel like, especially since you don't have splash damage. Shambler, no! Haven't you played enough Massacre? Looks like he's still going to make it happen, though. The Anseal's distributing some of the projectiles, stealing them away from their intended target. And then the Shaman's healing them up so that the Lakers don't do enough of a job. Kind of ignoring those Lakers for now. Is it going to come back to bite him as the Iziricors and the Tets are coming in a little bit further, a little bit closer? It's a kind of a drain tank slap fight right now because the Tetzoricors have that lifesteal, but they will eventually be focused down. And now it's just Iziricors and one lone Lakers trying to make the fight happen. Can the Iziricors overwhelm all the healing? Well, the answer to that question is no. Critical mass of sustain may have been achieved here. A lot of Mavericks that could be going somewhere. 12 o'clock seems to have gotten out of hand. And again, Grass Eater has so much money. So he queues up 12 Zoryus. The Atlas goes down elsewhere. And I do think this is shaping up to be a Shambler victory. I mean, Grass Eater has some play left in the game. He still can make a composition work. There's not that much firepower in this army, by the way. But it's going to be reinforced pretty soon. And it's all down to Grass Eater. Just, he barely spent his money this game, it feels like. And I really don't know what he's going to be able to do going forward. Ultra Cores wouldn't hurt, but really what he needs is Gorgs. Maybe even Zarkavra Cores. And I don't know if he has the time for that. By the time that comes up, I think the Tier 2 bio will be activated. The mineral only down here is going to get cleared. The Zoryus committing to the fight. And then drawing back, trying to encourage the Lakers shots to go the way they need to go. Bit of a sandwich here for the Zerg army. Going to get surrounded, reverse surrounded by the Terrans, and the rally points haven't been corrected. Meanwhile, some Mavericks have been dispatched to clear out 9 o'clock, and Grass Eater never actually set up successful bases elsewhere. So that is a significant portion of his income down there at 9. And he'll soon find himself out of money and out of lives. In the best of 5, he started up 2 games on, but he has nothing left. The Maverick Menace has carved a path. GG, says Grass Eater. And, well, mate, you could do a lot. But, yeah, any lesson you can take from that game, I hope you do. Shambler will be our best of 5 reverse sweep man. And that series did cause some physical pain. The Shambler cries out as he strikes you. Well, we've got some more TVZ for you coming up. It is going to be Han Mono on Cannoli action, and that's going to be an interesting best of 5, but I will take a short break to go and use the restroom and acquire some additional water, and then I will bring you South Korea's finest, well, one of them, versus America's Est. That's it. That's what I got for you. And congrats to Shambler for winning the set. We'll be back in about 6 minutes or so. Hello, hello, ladies and gentlemen. We are back. It is time to get some more epic stuff underway. This is going to be opener number 4 on Mono versus Cannoli. Time to see who is going to join the Shambler in the quarterfinals. It won't be facing the Shambler. All top 4 seeds in this tournament ended up with playoffs buys, so we will end up with a different sort of match here. But I can tell you guys that this is going to be seed number 7 in Han Mono going up against seed number 10 in Cannoli. I'm looking forward to seeing how this one goes. After what we just witnessed, I can't really say that I'm too confident in any sort of prediction about who's winning what or how dominant anything is going to be, but I can tell you for sure one thing, which is this is going to be an interesting match, and Cannoli always plays a funky style and hasn't really had a lot of time to practice lately, which kind of makes me think for sure Han Mono is going to take this. But let's find out together, as we are indeed on to Crisis Vector. Han Mono, the upper seed. Of course, he picks this map as map number 1, and he is our Mango Terran. And only in the bottom right is our Pumpkin Zerg. Always Pumpkin. Forever Pumpkin. And of course, I will get the Twitch prediction started here in just a moment. And you guys can bet minerals on your favorite homie. Han Mono, notorious for building like 30 stockades and mostly savants. We'll see if we can do the same thing here or not. I'm not entirely convinced it'll end up working wonders, but we will find out together. Quasith Pool coming for Cannoli. So that's a different style than we normally see Cannoli go for. Looks like a pool into Larvosk. Wonder what sort of thing he's planning on. And it's a double stockade for Han Mono. With the Droleth Scout from Cannoli, we are definitely going to see an early reaction to how many stockades are being made. This one is clearly... Oh, no, I thought it was going to be a Scout, but it's going to be a very fast third stockade. So... what does Cannoli do in the face of such wanton aggression? Well, the pool will finish up, and a Cyprian is on the way, and I guess Cannoli's going to be in a bit of a world of pain regarding the heavy bio focus here. I didn't think about that one, Lucy, but that's a good move. Good food puns. Really, any puns. If you like the person who makes the pun, pun's pretty cool. If you don't like the person who makes the pun, fuck off and die. Pretty sure that's how that worked. Wasn't fuck off and die like a meme from like 2001 or something? I feel like I remember that as a kid. Anyway. The Harakans, the Cyprians, everything that Shambler didn't make for some of those games. And the Droleth is like, oh yeah, I was supposed to be back at home. Thanks for reminding me. Give me that little kick in the butt. Zeths and Quaz. That's it. Only going to need a little bit more Quaz for sure to defend the ramp. I do think that Harakans alone can power a lot of bio units up a ramp versus Zerg. All that for a drop of blood. Can you believe? Because I can. Still reeling from the fact that Shambler made it through after that start of that series. Anyway, Han Mono is going to be applying some pressure with the first couple of units. And the Burrow Trap, is it going to be good enough? At least a couple of Claws will find some kills on the Harakans, which is not something you see every day. Good focus fire onto the Cyprians. Oh, just barely enough there, but he's only got a couple more back at home. I think he's got enough to hold this. I think he's all right. There are some more units coming, but this is good damage to start chipping away at the Harakans. And oh no! I had a StarCraft 1 pathing moment. Oh, boo-boo. Huh? Eh? Oh? Oh. Ah! Ooh. We have Cyprians and Hurricans moving their way back to the location of Hanmano's ministry, and Vornath is halfway complete as the expansion finally comes down for our Zerg player, and Avaleth may end up doing a little bit of a drop. I don't think that the Quads can break into this position, though. That feels a little ambitious. I'm happy to be proven wrong, but also I would be unhappy if they did manage to do it. Hurrican's gonna enter Valhalla. But, I mean, the Cyprians are getting lots of value here, so even though every Huracan dies just about... Wow, 4 HP. Even though just about every Huracan dies, they clear all of the threats, and now they will start marching back. I wonder what Hanmano thinks about Ahmed. Does Hanmano think about Ahmed? He did say one time he was, like, dreaming about Cosmonarchy, so... It's already occurred to him. Have you guys ever dreamt about Cosmonarchy? Because I have, but I'm the dev, so that makes sense. 6 pairs of quads just popped. We got 4 more on the way, and another Larvosk for Cannoli. It could be a good drop target. Remember, Hanmano does sometimes like his drops. The Avaleth will fly in, hell-bent on a scout. Oh, no. Oh, dear. It's all going wrong. The Cyprian stack is getting too large. Back, ye devils! More Hurricans where that came from. Yeah, these quads are getting nowhere. Calculator Lake starts up, but there's no hope for any sort of Lyralisk, Calcalisk, anything. Hatch is going to go down. The Avaleth was obviously didn't have anything in it, but that's I think that might be game right then and there. I don't think we're getting very far anywhere else. The burrow is cute, but is it going to matter? I think he's been outmaneuvered, outgunned, outblasted. Ooh. It is kind of satisfying when the Cyprians have their good shellacking, you know? He never unburrowed the one quaz behind. Maybe it would have helped. Ooh. Devastated. Dog in the chat saying he's never seen Grass win a series. Well, he had to win a series in the Gauntlet because he got to the qualifying sets multiple times. But I guess it wasn't a best of 5. I don't think he's won a best of 5 yet. You're probably right about that. He took Arbuz Budesh to 5 games, so that was kind of cool. All right, Cannoli, what can you do with 3 Lyralisks? Show us the magic. Down goes the lake. That's all you get. You only get the 3. Well, you only get the 1. Oh, actually... I think that's it. I've said that a few times, I know. But... Zerg have it rough, boys and girls. From reverse sweep to just an absolute bloodbath on Crisis Vector, Cannoli and Grass Eater both kind of in the dumps right now. But listen, that's one game. It is a best of 5. I still think Hanmano should take this set, but I will say that there's some... I mean, listen, Cannoli's crafty. I don't want to just count him out because he hasn't been practicing that much. But Cannoli is pretty crafty, so we might see something after all. Getting right back into things for game number 2. Go ahead and get the prediction back up on running on Twitch. And we have, in the bottom left, Hanmano, the blue Terran, against Cannoli, the pumpkin Zerg, in the top right. Frosted Forest, a map by Biddy is our map. Crisis Vector was by Jujic. I'm sure everybody knows that by now, but in case you don't. And I am looking forward to seeing where we go from here. Because as far as I'm concerned, Hanmano probably can't win every game like that. Cannoli will adapt based on the flow of the early game. Let's see what Hanmano wants to do. It looks like a fairly timed stockade, fairly average in that respect. Hydra then has keyed in for Sir Cannoli. That's a big difference, actually, compared to the way that it was working before. The pool start obviously not favoring him versus bio, but Arbus maintains that you can go pool into bio, so, or at least pool into Terran, and if bio is a common practice among Terrans, which I'm sure it is, something to think about. Don't mind me just opening up a match thread here so that we can organize the Shambler versus his new opponent. And we do have Kagrants on the way. Larvosk incoming for Cannoli. We're still going to be going on a macro adventure. This isn't going to be like the four-headed Hydra build that Hamster did in some weekend wages in the past. And it will be a double Cyprian start for Hanmano. He does like that. Droleth not quite able to be reacted in time there. Ooh. Devastated. You know what I want to see? I want to see... These matches were not played on ranked, so we did not get to see the stats or anything through Replay Kraken. I really want to see the average APM stats between Hanmano and Cannoli. It must be so funny. It must be hilarious. And I'm talking win or lose. Cannoli just does not click with the fastest of them. I feel like right about now with the Izira cores, but mostly being on their side of the map, Zerg isn't going to have a lot of map control. And Hanmano, he is the type that if you give him an inch, he's going to take as many miles as he can. And we'll see him. You know, it will depend on if Cannoli can actually drive him back right now. Something that I also noticed is that, yeah, Hanmano is the type to rally towards the enemy base and not back to his own base, which can cost him, but in the early game it kind of makes sense, right? So we'll see if that works out in his favor or not. I'm pulling for both players, but I gotta say, I do like Hanmano. I think he's a cool guy. I like Cannoli too. Cannoli's been doing a lot of contributions lately, so shout out to him. Hurakan's getting a humongous around there. So much armor rent. See you later. And what do we have behind this? Just a couple more Izira cores hatching. 4 Hydras got started. That would be enough to chip through some of the Hurakans, let the Izira cores stay alive a little bit longer. But you need to kill the Hurakans before they get their armor debuff on. You know what I mean? And that just ain't happening here. You can see Cannoli throwing caution to the wind, going right after those Cyprians. Reinforcements coming in as well. I don't think that the Izira cores did enough work. Yeah, especially with the Hurakans full HP arriving. GG's got to be called. That's a second game for Hanmano. Was Shambler right? Is this the OP race? It's also a little bit hard for Cannoli because he does like to grind himself into shape and play like, I want to say literally like 10 hours a day sometimes, depending on how aggro he is. So even though feels like we're about to watch him, you know, 1 foot out the door, so to speak, this is a little bit of an awkward position for him. How is he going to try to psych himself? Yeah. The reverse sweep prediction from Shopkeeper Doug, yeah. Something like that. We're getting into our our third match. They've been really fast. Cannoli, Pumpkin Zerg in the bottom right of Acid Test. This is Hanmano's pick. Frosted Forest was Cannoli's. And of course, Hanmano in the top right. I'm going to say he is the Light Olive Terran. We'll go ahead and get another Twitch prediction up. Hey, what's going on, Count? Does feel like our Zerg homie has been struggling a little bit in this series. I think you just have to take it one game at a time a lot of the times. Like, I don't really think Cannoli worries too much about the psychological pressure. He seemed pretty blasé when he was facing, like, Hit 'em Up. And he's like, yeah, Hit 'em Up's pretty good, but I could still beat him. And, you know, so, yeah, when he has his practice, he's pretty dangerous. He's just got crafty, odd, you know, off-meta solutions that perturb his opponents. Oh, by the way, Hanmano randomed his Game 5 pick. Normally, I don't think we're getting there, but it is going to be Punch Drunk if we do. Map 4 will be Patadia. That's picked by Cannoli. And I say will be, I mean, do I give him one game in the series? I think if I saw 3-1 on the scoreboard afterwards, I'd be like, okay, that kind of makes sense, right? Like, I go to the Liquipedia page after I fill it out like a month from now. I'm like, yeah, okay, yeah. Cannoli takes a game off of Hanmano. That could compute in my head. Let's see it. Let's see it, Cannoli. Triple Stockade once again for Hanmano. This is similar to Crisis Vector. I actually didn't count the stockades on Frosted Forest, but I'm pretty sure it's the same sort of situation. At least make an expansion. A lot of early Kagran over here. And spreading towards the ramp is this third one. He's a ways off of affording another Larvosk, but is he actually going for something like that? There's a Quaz. No Vornath just yet. He can afford it at 75 Vespine. I guess what he could do is he could go for a lot of pool units and workers. He's going to turn that into a Circuit. I don't like that positioning for a Circuit, but what I was going to say he could do is he could try to go for a lot of, pool units and then, macro hatch it up or spend all of his gas on Larvosks or something. It's sort of like it's dangerous and it's weak to drops, and so it can feel just a little bit awkward. But 4 Quaz will be the Scout. 4 more coming in after that. And okay, Shroud coming. That's what he's going to spend his gas on. Yeah, I mean, if he goes for like a bunch of Lakes or something, I could see this working out because Hanmano doesn't typically add the add-on until after the Covenant. He doesn't usually go for Vestry until after Covenant, so... What kind of detection is he going to have? Does he know to make Starpad? A lot of Cyprians, a lot of Harakans. It's a much more uniform attack timing right now. See if Hanmano can make things happen. Before, shut down any hope that we have for, Cannoli to save some face. If we did get 2 reverse sweeps in one day, it would be kind of cool. Mostly just because one Terran would make it through, one Zerg would make it through. There's some balance there across 2 TVZs. I like the spread, and the 2 Circuits are here to help deal with the Harakans. It doesn't quite look like Hanmano's ready to attack into that just yet, but we'll see about taking the attack, taking the opportunity. Armor End tagged onto the Circuit. That's very good. Cannoli's making some Zoryus. I don't know. Ooh, that's no good. Is that over? Is it over just like that? I mean, no expansion for Hanmano. Yeah, damn. Okay, well, he's got the Zori. No, there's no way. The Harakans are still alive, right? I guess if he over... Okay, he actually kept one Zorius untagged by the fire. I was about ready to call it right then and there. No economic damage was actually dealt. Can the composition handle the Zorius inclusion? I guess so. It has, a lot of Harakans for the armor end. I will not lose faith, says Shopkeeper Dog. All right. I'd say when the drop comes in, you're owned, but there is no star pad. Hanmano just vibing out, making stuff off of 3 Stockade. This is starting to feel a little bit like that Shambler game on Crisis Vector, except the Zerg edition. But he's got time to make the workers, and if he's not punished for it, then it won't matter much. Back against the wall, facing elimination, as this is a single elimination tournament. Hanmano is, well, Cannoli is the one who's back against the wall. Hanmano already enjoying series point and aiming to go for the quarterfinals. He'd be going up against Newt. Don't we want to avoid the mirror matchups? I actually love the mirror matchups. I don't have any shade towards TBT. It's so funky to me. It's I saw that one game between Dog and Kutian yesterday before closing down the stream. What a wild game that was. Five Stockade is going to be our build from Hanmano. Off of 2 bases. I'm sure he's going to have more Stockade than that. I heard Rilla Rokor is dying, but I will not look. They died right here. Droleth's moving over. Slowly saturate up the base. You know, listen, when the game is quiet like this, Cannoli's actually pretty scary. Shopkeeper, what do you think of a mirror match only tournament? Would you still play Terran if you signed up for the mirror match only tournament? I guess the question is, would you sign up for the mirror match only? Probably not. He's like, fuck off, buddy. I ain't doing that. Kranken now came back today. Ayud also was playing some games. We're going to cast some of those after this tournament series is over, which I thought was already going to be over, but Cannoli is holding on and getting his Ulgorg Cavern. Pretty cool stuff there. The Covenant finishes up as well, and we got some more Stockades on the way. Savants are incoming. Expect a lot of Savants. I mean a lot of Savants, and you need a lot of minerals for that. And I mean a lot of minerals for that. With the map control that Cannoli has, it might be possible for him to somewhat safely take a third base, specifically the 4 o'clock. Looks like he's setting up his little avenue in here. PVT only, yeah, that's it. I think it would be even better, Fox, if it was a tournament where people signed up and I let them pick their race, but then I just said, no, you're playing a different race. Like, we would roll the dice, and if it rolled like Terran, then you have to play TBT. That would be funnier, right? Like, that's way better, actually. Oh, that's a burrow. Getting the lake is up. That one's probably dead to rights, courtesy of the Huracan revealing it. But the Zorius are mostly not on fire, I think. I don't know. This doesn't look like a great fight for the Zerg, but similarly, the Terran is going to have a bit of a hard time. Only one lake is alive, though. That's scary. That's spooky. Cannoli found the Gorg button! Well, Shopkeeper Dog has to say that Cannoli's going to win now. I mean, if Hamano wins versus Gorgs, then Shop Dog is just in shambles. Goodbye. I like that he pulled back over here for a second as the push is coming in for Hanmano. He's pretty committed. He's got a really dangerous force, though. Oh, he needs to find that Lakis. He needs to reveal it. Oh my god, they keep dying at the last second. This one Lakis has dealt so much damage. Finally, it'll be dealt with. Meanwhile, the Gorgs are just killing everything, as they do. Oh, the Zorius. They're going to slow things down just enough, I think. Well, maybe not. They fought away from the circuits. Not the best army control there. What's being made right now? Oh, 10 Lakis? Call it. Cannoli's going to win this game for sure. His Gorgs are actually coming back after rendering Hanmano down to his last 4 combat units. But 10 Lakis, there's no way you come back from that. I will say, every time I've said there's no way you come back from that, I have been proven correct. So I want to point that out there, just for the record. Let the record show. First 3 of the 10 Lakis are taken care of, but nah, there's too much damage. I think there's surely too much damage here. Oh, one less shaman for the heals. Oh, God. Oh, God. He didn't have them in the armor pen mode. No! No! He didn't have them in the armor pen mode. They could penetrate the Gorgs. They could have killed them all in like 3 volleys. Well, he's only down by 20 workers. And he's got 1 savant. Green Gorgs and Spam in the chat. What's up, dude? Man, actually, coming to think of it, is there a Zerg faction that should have green eggs? I guess if it's going to be the Spam faction, it would have to be the Gazira Temple, right? Not quite able to get the Watchdogs up in time. A little bit more economic harassment. I'm pretty, like, Canoli's winning. He just hasn't... He just isn't... He hasn't won the game yet, but he has. You know what I mean? Like, his opponent hasn't typed GG, and he isn't doing the things that he needs to make his opponent quite type GG yet. But he has won this game. It's just a matter of getting us to the score screen. What is the easiest way to acquire the score screen from here? That's true. Green Eggs is all about asset seizure. I just don't know what the spam part would... I guess they spam out the units that cause the asset seizure. Yeah. It's a bit more... It's not as, like, name value punny, but it does work. Well, it looks like the Zerg is intending on moving in. The Savants are in some number, but again, no penetration is no joy, although the Zorius would have blocked it anyway. Hamano knows what's up. He was just waiting for it to happen. GG. Miss. Is he calling Cannoli a lady? What the fuck? I don't know. Question mark? All right. Hey, Cannoli won a game. Hell yeah, brothers. And that means we go to map number 4. Which is Patadia. And if we need our decider, it will be Punch Drunk randomized, courtesy of what was done by Hanmano. All right, that was a really weird game, but there you go. That was a game of Cosmonarchy. That was a game of all time. We're getting back into our series here. 2 minutes to bet, and we have Cannoli, the bottom right, Pumpkin Zerg, against Hanmano, the upper left eggshell blue Terran. A Z faction that has drones with death damage reflection. Drone Zoro. Imagine. Anti-harass. There's a special place in heaven still because we're all going to make it. But the slightly, like, where slightly annoying people go. You know what I mean? They shouldn't be denied entry into heaven just because they're slightly annoying, but they are slightly annoying. And I just wanted to say that. It has no relation to our series, I promise, because I'm about to talk about Cannoli, and he is not slightly annoying. He's a cool guy, and he's going hatch first. Fuck yeah, boys. It's like some features of heaven are denied access to you. Like, you can't go to the heavens spa. Or you can, but you can only go on Sundays or something, you know? When, like, the employee that was also slightly annoying works there. So you're like, damn. I'd like to get the nicer customer service. And, like, he's alright. It's not the end of the world that you talk to him, but He just like talks a little bit too much. And you want to talk a little bit too much because you're slightly annoying. You know what I mean? Does that make sense, guys? It's over. Cannoli is warmed up. Well, he's going hatch first, so that's a pretty bold choice. And Hanmano is switched into mech, so that's an interesting choice as well. All right, take notes, Shopkeeper Dog and all other Terrans. The Terran, the true Terran, is on the field now with the Scrapyard. 2 Folk Scrapyard before first unit. Okay. All right, Grass Eater, Greed Eggs Eater. I like your idea. A week late, a week of holding, right, before you can access most of Heaven's features, and your Heaven access card has a slightly annoying stamp on it. So there's got to be some very mild, lasting ramifications to being slightly annoying, right? But they're mild. They're slightly annoying. You know what I mean? You get it. That's what it is. It'll be a Blackjack and then 2 Matadors. Well, this is a bold move. And Cannoli still hasn't made a military unit, by the way. Well, I tell a lie. He's made 2 Quas. Whatever. He hasn't made a military unit. He made 2 military units. Snazzy new Matador and Blackjack as far as render settings are concerned. And, of course, materials. We got some nice red on the Matador now. Scrap Chad. I like that. Scrap Chad is good. Scrap Chad is very good. Grass is... Grass? Why do I keep saying grass? There's grass on the ground. Quaz is going to move out and watch the natural. Grass Eater should have won that series versus Shambler. That must be what I'm thinking subconsciously. Is like, I should still be talking about Grass Eater in this tournament, but he just couldn't do it. Little toy Christmas tanks. Yeah, that's true, actually, right? The green player color, and then the red. That's pretty good. Very, very thematic. Well, for all of us Westerners, in what? Less than 12 hours, I'll just say to be safe, we have the Christmas-themed presents going to be coming online. I'm guessing if I put it to a vote, most people would say, hell yeah, keep them on. Keep them going. So maybe I will. Maybe I will keep them on even for casts, even for tournaments. But I'm not so sure. There's a lot of Fulcrums, by the way. And a lot of Blackjacks are on the way, moving across the map. And they could punch through these circuits, and there's only pool units on the other side of it. So it could be a pretty deadly timing attack. I haven't really seen Blackjack versus pool units. That's such like an odd combo of Terran versus Zerg to me. I just haven't seen it that often. This looks pretty deadly. The Matadors are going to come in. The Blackjacks are actually getting thinned out a lot. And the Matadors alone aren't as scary, I think, but not great focus fire from either player. It's a lot more Quas coming. The Matadors may eventually be dealt with, but it's taken them a long time to get cleared. Oh, he didn't actually full kill these K-Grins. Never mind, they're going to end up remorphing. Good cancel on that one to the north there. The last Matador will be brought down. I think a lot of that is down to the fact that... Oh, the drop! The drop is so good. Gonna start blindsiding Hanmano. Yeah, and with the Zeps coming in as well to put some more DPS in for some micro stutter step from Hanmano on the Blackjacks, and it's gonna make it a lot harder. Yeah, he might still be able to bust, but once again in a little bit of a base race, because Hanmano hasn't pulled the Masons, and he's still got more combat units coming in. Okay, we're not out of the woods yet, but 8 Lyrilisks are being gestated behind this push, and we do have those 6 Quas inside the main base of Hanmano that will perpetually shut down mining. The last of the resources have been spent on combat units, and it looks like he's going to focus down this hatch. Oh, he actually does shoo them away, so the Quas won't be able to like slowly kill everything, but I wouldn't have used them for that anyway. I think with the Lyrilisks out, this should be an open and shut case, though, and Cannoli has 1,000 minerals. Of course Cannoli has 1,000 minerals. The Matador is so very low, and we're not waiting for any more to come down. More Lyrilisks and... Or no, these are Lyras, Vorvs, and Zets on the way. Oh, the Matador doesn't get close. Doesn't even get close to him. Lyrilisks are just too powerful. GG, the drop did everything there. And Cannoli is just amusedly moving on to Game 5. Holy shit, guys. We might actually have another reverse sweep. I thought I'd be casting like Krankendow versus Aoud already, but I got a ways to go for that, guys. We got more stuff to do. We got one more game. We're going to punch drunk for it, so I hope you guys are excited about that. That's all I can say. Miss again, yeah, true. Listen, the build was fine, funnily enough. 0 workers, no minerals, that's right. Nothing happening there. The cannoli effect. I'm sure the Night Fox remembers the time for... It was Acropolis... Was it all the way back in Acropolis? I think this is Acropolis 2, actually. Yeah, this would have been Acropolis 2's open qualifiers. The Gauntlet Stage B, when the Night Fox and Cannoli were practicing for, like... I want to say it was like 12... Wasn't it like 12 hours or something crazy, Fox? You two were practicing a lot. And we found ourselves with Cannoli able to make it through, to the shock horror of everybody. He even made it all the way to the throne room stage. In a group with Hit 'em Up and Gerald Storm in it. He out-ZVZ'd Gerald. That was on the cursed version of... as if there was an uncursed version of this, by the way, but the cursed version of Check Stealer that kept desyncing on map start. We had to replay the matchup like 3 times. Hey, what's going on, Jekyll Striker? I'm glad that you are enjoying the casts. We'll keep the videos going and, of course, keeping the streams going. Welcome to Game 5 of a tournament series deciding who's going to continue on in the single elimination bracket. And Hanmano, a minute and a half into the game, of course, is going Ministry first, by the way. He is our dark green, Terran in the top left, and Cannoli is moving on with a pool first, Pumpkin Zerg, going cross-map. Guys, hold on! How has he done this? The double troll at Scout send the Zets cross-spawn. It's cross-spawn Ministry first, and he's found them. All right, it's only Zets. He might be able to pull the boys and do something about it. He's kept this one making the stockade that's full completion, but I don't know. They got so much health. Oh, no, the rocket is going to be too late. He's done it. That's it. There's no way, dude. Cue the Artosis soundboard for Terrans.
I am a hero!
I hope you are, Ahmed, because you are needed. Holy moly. Ah, down he goes. I can't believe... What? Oh my god. Cannoli has done it. He has reverse swept on Mono. Holy shit. Hey, Startham. Yeah, Ahmed could have been repaired. He could have been. The second ministry was there. You were down to 6 Masons. It wasn't looking good, but maybe he could have done something there. Maybe he could have done something. Wow, what a game. What a series from Cannoli, dude. That is some wild stuff. We had the technology. We could have repaired him. Now we're dead. On Mono's engineering team. Wow. All right. That is a wrap on our first round of opening matches. We've got one more opening series coming up, which is on later today. We're not going to be able to do it on cast because it's at 11 p.m. My time, and it's only 7 o'clock right now. I am not casting for 5 more hours or whatever it would take me to complete that set, but it will be a grudge match between I Am the Wheat of God and Sausage. A potential Class 2 promotion for Sausage on the line and Class 3 demotion for Godwheat, depending on who wins that Terran versus Protoss matchup. The winner will face Shopkeeper Dog. I can inform you now that Cannoli is now moving up to face Newt. Hanmano has been eliminated. That also eliminates Grass Eater earlier because Shambler reverse swept him. So 2 reverse sweeps in one day. Maybe we can go for 3 in any event. I'll have to cast the series between Godwheat and Sausage on another time. Probably, we might end up being able to do a cast stream tomorrow. I haven't actually sat down and really thought deeply about my stream schedule just yet. But yeah, that was that. That reverse sweep only tournament. Yeah, Shambler, you missed Gamba. You missed the whole stream. Arbuz also missed the stream starting, and looks like PSen's also just joined us. Welcome, guys. Welcome, everybody. You guys missed 2 different reverse sweeps. Unbelievable, outrageous. But it will end up going the way of the. It will be interesting. It will be interesting to see where the rest of these players go. Our quarterfinal matchups are so far locked in. Quarterfinal 2 is going to be Nebulon versus the Shambler, and as mentioned, quarterfinal number 4 will be Newt versus Cannoli. Looking forward to those. And now I just need to take a moment, take some sips, figure out what we're going to cast next. Looks to me like if I scroll down long enough, I should be able to find some cool Krankendow versus Aoud games. Shopkeeper Dog said that he had a really crazy TVT versus Kutyam, so I might check that out as well if he can tell me what map it was played on, roughly how long it was, or anything like that. I hope that all of the games I'm going to go ahead and pull now are working replays. I see no reason why they wouldn't, but you never know. Okay, that figures. They were playing on pre-release, but that's not a problem. It is latest pre-release. Okay. Yeah, Krankendow was playing a bunch of games with a bunch of people, and it looked like he might have been playing random or just picking different races. I saw he was playing some games as Protoss, and that was interesting. We'll be switching gears away from the tournament and on to the more conventional matches that we often play. We're going back to Crisis Vector, of course. All right. I think we're just about ready. Of course, I will have to get the Gamba going, as per usual. It's not quite as fun to bet on random games as it is on tournament games, probably. But here we go. Here we go. Let's do it. Aoud 64 in the bottom right is our dark green Terran player, and in the top left we have Krankendow, the Cosmic Cobalt? Yemen Blue Zerg. They were talking about whether the stream is good for we were talking about whether watching on stream was better than being in the lobby, as Arbuz is in here, chilling, relaxing, maxing. We're gonna go mech against Zerg here. Aoud 64 is, and a pool start for Krankendow. Interesting sets of choices. This looks like the second game that they played. There was one earlier on Demaloon, which I skipped over, it seems. I might go ahead and pop that one up later. And after this, there is a game on Frosted Forest that I was given a high advisory to check out. We'll be taking a look at that. Hope you guys are enjoying Cosmonarchy, and like Jackal Striker in the Twitch chat earlier, you're having a good time watching or playing, whatever you like, whatever you're doing, whatever you're able to. And if you end up wanting to go in the direction of doing a lot of supporting of the project, you can share it around, you can tell your friends, you can tell whoever you know might be interested in a very fundamentally different StarCraft experience, but still core to the RTS genre. And you can see what else you might end up injecting into our veins, right? If you end up getting a couple extra players in the door, they could be active, they could be having a good time, they could be it could be all sorts of cool stuff. Vulture now loose, going to clean up these Zethar cores. Good little micro there. Almost picks that mine with the 2 quas, which is it's an interesting little option. And I like the little dance that they're both doing. Obviously, the quas are eventually going to falter here, but I think that quas is just barely out of range of popping those other mines. You can see the vultures start to be a lot more effective when you add a few more of them. But those mines shouldn't really be able to get up, and down will go the last of them. Third vulture arrives, one of them very red. At this point, the Ministry halfway complete, Aoud has kind of established the control that he needs, and Krankendao is pretty familiar with how to deal with this kind of push. He throws down his Zorkish Shroud, and he's just making Droleth behind it, knowing that he has bought enough time with the quas that he's got. He can catch back up in workers and eventually make the breakout happen. I think as Zergs get more and more efficient at doing a breakout versus the mech contain openers, you're going to see that Zerg are totally happy with this situation. They just go ahead and put down their expansion after they break out. And maybe they can try to break out even earlier, but it's not strictly a requirement. You can see Aoud laying down the mines to try to see if he can catch the likely flight paths of Avaleth's transports, etc. Halfway done is one of them already, but it's to help clear the mines inside the natural, which are actually pretty low in number. All of this off of 1 fulcrum, as 2 more are on the way. Scale up the military production as the Ministry's already given its returns towards Aoud. 3rd fulcrum being added, so we're going up to 4, and 2 Lakes have been queued up for our Zerg player. The Vultures dip set. We are going to see the Avaleth at some point, right? Or, oh, that's why they dip set, actually. They dived away because the Avaleth flew over a mine. So they're expecting a drop. There's nothing in it. This little fake out here, something that Cannoli did in a tournament match recently. Can't say there's too many surprises. The Goliath was already pre-made, so the Avaleth won't get far, but when you see this kind of flight path, you're probably pretty sure actually there's nothing in it. The mines get cleared in the natural, and we will be seeing that expansion put down in short order. Droleth already here for it. Now, I don't know if Aoud noticed the presence of the Lakes. That is going to be significant. I mean, I don't see a star pad. We have some Cyclops out for some splash damage. Star pad obviously really good to drop the Cyclops if you can grab that Trojan and get him in there. Hydrith Den about halfway complete, so crank it out. Playing very much the opposite of a lot of other Zergs I've noticed, where they like to stick on 1 tech node for a really long time. Crank already has all 3 basic tech nodes, and I'm sure he's going to upgrade a few of them. Using the quas to play Minesweeper, he can do the same down here at some point. He doesn't go deep enough to clear out 12 o'clock completely. I alternate between calling this 12 and 1, but I think I should probably just consign it to being 12 o'clock, because that's the closest. Mech amassing in the middle of the map, the 1 Goliath from earlier. Lots of vultures. And Crank's moving out with mostly just pure quads right now. The Lakes will announce their presence with their spines, and yeah, that is kind of a sign that, okay, I got to concern myself with something else. Aoud going for the star pad and base number 3 off to the side here. Looks like you're marked for that double gas low ground. A lot of demises have occurred on this map from that double gas low ground alone. Capping the ridge is Crank, and we have the Hydrith Den coming up here. It's ski-backed evolution, so we will most likely be seeing some Bactyls, the new Cyclops sauntering forward. It's a lot of Cyclops, a lot of splash damage being accentuated here. And Blackjacks are going to follow him up with 2 more Fulcrums added on, an Anseal for detection, much necessary. However, I guess with only Bactyls, you don't have to worry too much about the anti-air front. I would be a little bit concerned. Ayud's ID, your best nightmare, is really funny. Not your worst nightmare, your best one. Rating on a curve, I guess. Another thing that I feel like Zergs have maybe forgotten a little bit about is the power of the Lyrilisc against, Anseal stacks with their splash damage. But not really a stack position right now, just second one coming. First spine volleys are good, but 1 Lakers will go down to the combined might of all the Cyclops. The back will start to sound off, and this is a very messy engagement all of a sudden for Ayud to try to break into. Zorius have arrived as well, but it's going to be some time before they make it to the front line. They have the opportunity to do so now. Breathing room secured as Crankendow busts out of his natural. The third base has been established by Ayud, and the Anseal slinkers away with just a little bit of shields left. Not so many saturated Masons on there. 6 Matadors coming a pop. 7 Cyclops following it up. Feels like pretty heavy committal, obviously, into the mech right now in the tier 1. And look at this! Crankendow not attack moving with most of his army. That's going to be a problem. He ends up losing a ton of his Bactyls. Anseal still kind of pirouetting around those Cyclops to keep them alive for now. I feel like that was an army, that was a fight that could have been very, very good for our Zerg. But at the end of the day, ends up coming up Terran. Hydras and Bacts kind of awkwardly A-moving into the fight, into the fray. Not ideal. We even have those Christmassy Matadors that Shopkeeper Dog was talking about coming their way in. Anseal's flying in is very bold, but a lot of those Hydras just turned into Bacts, so won't be punished. Big Cyclops stack here. Again, base number 4 coming up for Ayud, but no tech development. He has almost enough for an Atlas now. Does he want to go for it? I don't know that the answer is yes. 2 out of 3 Lake is going down. Bactyl's not hatched yet. Bactyls are not hatched yet. The Anseals were able to see the production speed. Looks like the Matadors are overwhelming them as well. There's a little bit of armor rend from the Zoryus helping out just enough. Is that going to be enough to turn him away? Yes, the answer is. I was going to say that those Matadors are going to come in the clutch, but they were not deployed, so they didn't benefit from their max armor. Five more Matadors coming up. Ayud still has a little bit of map vision here. Some of those have not been cleared. Base number 4 are going to start floating away. We don't have a third base in the cards here for Crankendow. He's not even trying it yet. And so the economy is just going to come way out of whack. Base 5, the Treasury, being put down on location as the Atlas is also earmarked. And it does feel like Crankendow maybe misread the situation a little bit. He might have thought that this was a committed sort of all-in almost. But Ayud has been macroing behind it like a beast. Already close to that 75 worker count. Soon he'll go over 100, but probably before the game is over. Having, a 5th base on the way and a 4th base starting to get saturated, but by around 11 minutes, is no small feat. Vorvs come out to stack a little bit of extra armor rend. That's going to come in clutch very, very nicely. Still, Alekis goes down. Armor control could be a little bit better here, it feels like. And now, well, hold on. Surely Crankendow noticed, but I guess not. Just like that, Ayud's army is shoved right in here. A wedge, no cancel. Every little bit of resourcing mattering here. Yeah, if that third base got up, maybe there's a chance that the Zerg can extend play into a longer game, but as of right now, it feels like Ayud is moments away from closing it. Lakers are going to burrow. I don't think this is the best engagement for the Terran. The Matadors are going to get chewed through pretty quickly. And not really applying their burn on too many units. A couple of Zoryas do go down, but there's more where that came from. The lake is, oh my god, just walking right over the lake is not even caring, throwing caution to the wind. That means a lot of these Cyclops are going to be very, very red, and the Bactyls can deal with them easily enough. But still, you can trade cost inefficiently when you're on your 4th base with your 5th finished and ready to be saturated, and your opponent hasn't even taken a 3rd, particularly in this matchup. Zerg doesn't need to stay at 1 base ahead of the Terran like it is in StarCraft 1, but they certainly don't mind it, and being 2 bases behind is not going to work. If that base down at 6 o'clock gets saturated, being 3 bases behind absolutely is not going to work. Tier 2 now being leveraged. And you look at this, he can still keep most of his Fulcrums, all of his Fulcrums, in fact, thrumming, while he techs up to Tier 2, and he has a humongous bank besides. A little bit late to the party, the most of the army of Krankendow, and they have to contend with all the Matadors. Tier 2 might be on the way as far as those captaincies are concerned, but I feel like most of the steps of the game for a victory have already been checked off the checklist. Krankendow still doing his best to mass up enough units, and he has secured the base in terms of actually finishing the hatch this time, but when does he spare Larva for Droleth? Looks like 1 round is coming up here. Base number 4 at the double gas base. This would be a comeback and a half from our Zerg. A lot of Sentinels being set up across all of the satellite bases. A couple on the 3rd, but mostly in the 4th and 5th. At that 3 o'clock location, at that 6 o'clock location. Tinker's Tower, more captaincies. We are going to see Siren Striga. I think mostly the Striga here in this matchup. Siren a little bit more useful versus Protoss. And we have the Lake is finding position as static defense is erected. That means more Drolets are going to need to be made. That means the army size doesn't balloon to a position where it can really contend with even the Tier 1 component of what Aoud is massing up, as his Strigas are halfway complete. Cestus over here as well. Good choice to further entrench this position. A 5th Sentinel will definitely go the distance. And really, Krankendow hasn't moved across the map to attack Aoud until basically right now. He's going to crack open that neutral power generator, make it a little bit more flexible for his army to move forward. In the process, he loses the Lakers, but scouts out where the main primary angle of attack is. Most of them are off to the side, not really contributing much. The Matadors will get chewed through. The Bactyls can still do a lot of damage here. Remember, the Cyclops don't have the armor that you would really want them to have, and now Aoud is throwing caution to the wind, forcing the issue with the Matadors, and his Cyclops for that matter, and that will be a wrap on the Tier 1 mech. All but a little bit of Cyclops. The Ancials just barely hanging on. And we have the Strigas coming in as well. So hold on. Maybe Krankendow has found the unlikely path to a victory. I thought those Lakers were not in great positions. They weren't really able to range down everything that you might want. And look at that. The Iral Iris. Tier 2 coming up. 1 Zethrakora doing a lot of friendly splash damage there. Walking through it all. We have 2 Lakers, Azorius, and a bunch of circuits up here at the 12 o'clock. For Krankendow, it means that maybe he needs to start considering a tech transition soon, because he hasn't even scouted that Tier 2 has been achieved. The Striga has not yet been revealed. Will be soon. Lake is wandering in first. Not what you want. Not how you want to find out that there's Tier 2 units on the field. A couple mine hits aren't going to be pounced upon. That would have been sick, but Aoud a little bit too far away. Base number 6 in the bottom left. That is a treasury. He'll have to saturate with masons from elsewhere. Flying in, he can actually take out these Lakers. They're not at very defensive positions. And the army is very far afield. Krankendow, he finishes up his Tier 2, but at the cost of his 3rd base. His base number 4 is well saturated at the very least. So he'll have a short period of time where he can actuate into another base over by 9 o'clock. And he needs to set up to kill this army when it exits. It's going to go stage right. Hatros down. Matravel Nest on the way. Krankendow starting to scale up, and look at his bank. Look at both players' banks. 4,000 gas in the tank for Aoud, and it might not matter for either player what money they haven't spent. What matters is on the field, and I don't know where the front line went, but it didn't go to the front line, or if it did, it didn't last very long. We got reinforcements coming in. Matador Striga wrapping around, and that should be the guillotine. Head on the pike. I think Krankendow has been subsumed. GG is called, and that is our first game between these two titans of Cosmonarchy. Not bad. Not bad from either side, but obviously Aoud looking like the better player all told. That being said, Aoud has been active more recently, whereas Crankido has been quiet for quite the spell. Let's get into game number 2 between these two players, at least the second game I'm looking at. There were other games, of course. Go ahead and restart the Gamba over on Twitch. And we have Crankido in the bottom left as the... Is this Dark Sapphire again? It is. Whereas Aoud in the top right is our Maroon. No, it's Blood. Yeah, Striga Matador. It's just pure fire. Fulcrum on the way. We have a Kagran on the way as well. Of course, Crankido going for Larvosk into pool. T is easy race now, says Aoud. Well, from the screenshots, Crankido in the chat, shout out. It looks like most of them were already over, but I am sad to see that there were some errors that you guys ran into. I might need to turn on my turn off chat feature here in a second if there's a lot of typing in these. Another reason why I don't really think it's always a great idea to have people obsing the games live, but undecided as to whether or not we'll allow that for ranked later. Ways off of enforcing it anyway. So the pool coming up for Crank. And it looks like he's going to put down the second Larvosk. We're going to have one pair of Zeth, one pair of Quaz. And the Vulture is on the way nice and early. So with the Star Pad, a little bit of a pocket spot, unlikely to be scouted. Crankido not electing to scout anyway right now. There's the second Larvosk. Right to go. Mason pocketed off to the side. We got that first Vulture going to drive in. Burrow just makes it waste a little bit more time, but now all the Quas are here, so got to be a little bit more spooked by that. All right, here's the Trojan incoming for Aoud. He's done this kind of move so many times. Avaleth as well for Crank, though. Maybe he'll decide to put something in it this time. Crisis Vector, he did not. Oh, I forgot to update the map name, of course, on the overlay. My bad, guys. I'll see if I can fix that while it's still observing the live action as the mines are popping. We got the Zorka Shroud pretty early, actually. That's pretty dangerous as the Vultures drive those Quas back. No cliff here on Frosted Forest. No ramp into the main base, or into the natural for that matter. There's a ramp into a plateau. And a lot more pairs of Quas are incoming. Aoud was playing Terran, I think, most of the games, but or playing random most of the games, but he didn't say that he was Terran this time at the start of the replay. So this might not have been him playing random anymore. 4 Vulture drops coming in as the Ministry gets started, and we have a Fulcrum adding on behind it. Quas aren't so far away, but this should still be good for maybe 2-3 Droleth kills. See what the reaction time is. Good burrow. That is going to force the Vultures to come in forward, and only gets 1. So for the investment found, I do feel like Aoud was looking for a little bit more than that. I like that some of the Quads were kept there, incidentally or not, just to prevent any run-ins from other Vultures, but at this point there's not so many. Avaleth comes out to detect everything, and that will be the end of the mine containment. Ooh, that's a little crafty spot, trying to find a way in. Should be able to kill a couple more Droleth. No burrow this time around, and they're on top of it anyway. Many more Droleth kills actually coming through, but there's the drill. All right, Aoud salvaged a little bit from that position. Remember, he had to build the Star Pad, build the Trojan, spend resources on that instead of scaling to a faster Ministry or extra Fulcrums a little bit earlier in the game, so it does make some sense there. As soon as Crankido makes his return, he just can't be stopped. He must continue playing. I feel that. Plus, we got some new friendly faces in the Discord server. We recently crossed 1,000 members. Oh, and I saw in the YouTube chat, Baki Hu saying Cosmonarchy merch. Yeah, there's merch. You want to order for Christmas, you probably should order a little bit soon because it does take a little bit to get to you shipping-wise. Highly recommend doing that. Just with the Cosmonarchy logo for now, but we have more designs on the way, so it's definitely going to be a good time. I'll tell you that much. I have some plans for like a Hurakan, Ahmed-themed merch, all sorts of cool stuff. Ovaleth has nothing in it. The Goliath finishes up, a couple of them in fact, and so making quick work of them, but the Cyclops drop. Oh, there's one vulture in there. Does he see it? No, he does not see it. That's all right. Probably won't. Well, Godwheat, you'll have to actually go back and watch the games. That's what I'll say. But today has been a day for results, that's for sure. Now we're just watching some really cool games between really cool guys, Krankendow and AUD64. With 3 Cyclops coming in, the workers here could be in some danger. Some Lakes have already been made. This is just to try to push and prod, but it's actually consolidating the defense a little bit more, and now you're going to see the Cyclops be contained a little bit here. I think the Trojan still gets out. I love leaving the Vulture behind just to frustrate things. Not much on the way of defense here. No Lakes or anything. Oh, that's an awkward unload spot. Really good economic harassment here from AUD64, it must be said. Doesn't quite get any more Drolets on the way out, but we can count the corpses. We see that there's 2 Drolets dead, and at least 2 over here. Plus all the Quas that died. Kind of shutting down the mining. Mech Army thought maybe it could push forward, but the Lake has stayed burrowed. Good discipline there from Krankendow. Straight up goes into the ski-backed scab. Similar composition as before, where it was Pool, Shroud, Den, and then Scab. And we have Zoryus coming out. We've got the Lake is coming out. The 4 Folk. This time no Scrapyard. Straight into Palladium with a 3rd Ministry on the way. If I remember correctly, these games were back-to-back, but I'd have to go back and look at the replay Kraken list, and I'm not doing that right now. I'm busy casting. Second star pad. Wait. What's that about? Did he forget that he had one, or? Madrigal on the way. He's only got the 1 Phalanx. Mech Army returning back home. So far, it seems like we're pretty relaxed, but can Krankendow secure extra bases? I saw his camera go over to the low ground down here. I don't know if he's actually planning on taking it anytime soon. Oh, looks like he wants to go there. Body blocked by the Mason Scout that was pocketed a long time ago. Well, that's definitely going... That's one way to know. Oh, my opponent is going to go for an extra base. Well, that's good little discipline there. At 12 o'clock, there's a Mason. I don't know what for. Avaleth finishing up soon. That's the second one that Kraken's made this game. Replay Kraken is named inspired by Krankendow, by the way, so you can take some credit for that. The 3rd base landing. Expanding more towards the top strip of the map, whereas Krankendow is, I guess, also expanding in that direction. Maybe they'll meet in the middle. I have yet to see these gas bases be utilized. But I don't think they should necessarily be removed. I just think that somebody's going to have to get creative with it. Ah! 2 Vultures go down to the friendly splash. The Ovaleth killed 2 Vultures. Nerf Zerg, please. Maybe he's going to make a lot of Anseals out of those star pads or something. I'm not really sure. The treasury gets set up for base number 4 eventually. 1 Anseal has arrived. I really feel like he just forgot that he made this because it was in an odd spot to be anti-scout, so he fooled himself, but part of me is thinking that because, if you do like a proxy starport, sometimes you'll forget you have a starport as turn, so stuff like that is, in StarCraft 1 is shown to happen. Base number 4 finishing up for our Zerg player. Not yet saturated in anything other than the Geyser. He sets up a lot of static defense. So economy still favoring Aoud, but only slightly right now. Up by 10 workers, but most importantly, the distribution of those workers is what matters. Treasury flying towards 12 o'clock. A direction has been chosen. We enter the 10-minute mark. And pretty reasonable initial setup here. The Atlas on the way for Aoud. You can see him playing a little bit more on the defensive side. He's got a deployed Madrigal in a few different locations. He's got a bunch of Phalanxes. Antseal on at least one area to try to be anti-Lake. Look at the minefield as well. Clearly electing to go towards a more economic game. As more Madrigals are being made behind his Atlas. And now he's going to push a little bit further out, right? Like, you have to go through this direction in order to get to the third base. So the fourth base becomes a little bit different in terms of where you want to defend it. Massing in the middle of the map, cranking down. Doesn't have much control or really like map vision right now, but getting there. The Ulgorg Cavern is on the way. Will he know the Gorgorcore button? Or won't he? That's a lot of Phalanx. I feel like that's possible for Zerg to push past. Unlike in game 1 between these two that we've casted, not a lot of armor rend, right? I mean, I guess in theory the Strigas will supply that. Now that the captaincies are on the way, we'll get to them eventually. But if there's an attack before then, that could be kind of dangerous. It does feel like Crankadow wants to go for his Ultra Cores, though. In fact, he just queues up some more Bactyls while we're talking about that. Sentinels and Acestus at 12 o'clock. Quads patrolling everywhere else. I hope Crank hasn't found himself in a false sense of security as he's patrolling everywhere that Aoud isn't, basically. Five Ultra Cores in production now. Without armor end and without attack speed slow, Ultra Cores could be pretty deadly. Phalanxes can try and focus them down, but they'll overkill more often than not. The Starport, Tinker's Tower, many more Madrigals. The Madrigals aren't there for, like, I don't think they're there for an air switch, although Gorgs would probably fail pretty heavily into so many Madrigals. But I think they're mostly there to try to help deal with some other things that might come Aoud's way. Base number 5 is not going to be taken after all, at least not so easily. An off-center treasury SM8. It's kind of funny to me that he pulled most of his units in this direction. Not just because that's one Quaz that he's got to deal with, but also because that's... Like, Crankadow kind of wanted to go push into the base, right? Like, he kind of wanted to go push in here. And now he's in a bit of an awkward spot. Good spots for the Phalanxes, that's for sure. Goliath will be melted by acid. Down goes an Ultra Core. A couple more opportunities to get a little bit closer, but look at those mines having so much impact, setting it up and knocking them down. Now, maybe a little bit goes back the other way. Bactyl's very good against Phalanx if they aren't being focused down by him. You can see this left flank has started to collapse. Striga's cycling back. We got more Phalanxes where that came from. And Aoud is no Kutian. He is not keeping his Phalanxes in tank mode. He wants that DPS instead. But they're just going to get absolutely overwhelmed. The big stack of armor down here, that's not exactly where Crankadow wants to go. And no defenses have been set up in this location. He's got a couple off to the side, but Crankadow is going to start getting crazy with it over by the third base. Backle bounces, the Sentinels with the Cestus. That'll help for sure. Is it going to be enough? I guess we'll find out. I feel like the Sentinels are pretty damn good, honestly. Reinforcements coming in to clear out the Bactyls, and it does feel like after dealing with a lot of those military units guarding the third and the fourth, static defense was enough to slow it down, and eventually we got to a territory where Aoud can clean things back out. He could still lose a lot of Masons, don't get me wrong. Crankadow hasn't taken the worker lead just yet, but he's got his 4 bases. He's interrupted the harvesting of a 5-base Terran, or what would have been 5-base Terran. And now, static defense being erected down there means that we are going to see... Oh! The Daedala is on the way. Okay, so Ayud got enough mining going that he knew that he was going to have eco necessary for tier 3. We got Gorga cores on the way now. No Zozark, no Swamp either. Nothing in the Apex tier. And even though he's got enough gas for tier 2, he actually doesn't have the minerals. Need 450 minerals for tier 2 for Zerg. Frankendown making a lot of good choices so far with his unit movement. And I didn't even mind that he really like focused on doing damage down here to the 12 o'clock. He didn't have a Remax behind that, so he couldn't have like kept up the pressure or tried to hunt down this base that was being set up before all that static defense came in, or maybe even like try to dive into this little minefield and into the natural. These are all potential targets if he had another army ready to go, but he wasn't quite there. And Azazel on the way for Ayud, one of the few times we're going to see that. Tough puppy. Starting to add some madcaps. The Sentinels doing their work onto the artillery that's being set up by Frankendown. The Phalanxes are still close enough to help out a little bit. This feels like a more straightforward angle of attack. Look at the Madrigals. I don't think those Gorgs are going to help too much there. And yeah, as soon as he sees all those Phalanxes, he's like, wait, hold on a second. I can't do that. Slightly off center. 9 o'clock base being taken, 6 o'clock at the same time, so we will be going from 4 to 6 bases for our Zerg player. And Ayud is trying to get back up to 5 bases, landing his beleaguered ministry. By the way, maybe a little bit of an underrated aspect, but on autopilot, when you're on these sort of high impact moves, it can sometimes be helpful to say, hey, that's a treasury, I can kill that easy. I know the Sistis was here to boost its armor, but only 850 life. That's less than half of, or about half of what the Ministry has. Daedala is complete. Iron Foundry on the way. And this is the next target of Frankendow's. Going after the 3 o'clock location. Pretty big moves, actually. And nice stun on self-stun onto the Strigas. Ayud kind of helping his ally out. I like the defensive matrix, though. Going to keep those Strigo, that single Strigo alive a little bit longer. But yeah, incidentally, the treasury almost going down. Now, this is a mono-prong assault, right? Not a two-pronged assault. This is only one attack from Crankendown. His tier 2 is just about to pop. When his tier 2 is finishing, but Ayud has tier 3, this is very dangerous. Very dangerous. Could go for some Pazuzus if you hit the Ultra Cores with them. It basically short-circuits some of their lifesteal, which has been causing some problems. I would honestly... doesn't require tier 3, but I would have loved to see some Tensenders earlier. All right, we got some Oxal Cesians. We've got the 2... big ups coming. Actually, all 3 Apex nodes coming for Crankendow. The lake, and he's also got the swamp and the gorge on the way. Matravel Nest as well, and we will see gas caps coming out the wazoo for our Zerg, capping 3 different geysers. Looks like the main nat and 4th base, as the 3rd is yet to be benefited. Double ridge over here as well. That's pretty neat. Honestly, these little map features here, like the double ridge base, you could see that being something that somebody takes as like a sneaky 3rd base when, they're security through obscurity, and then they just go ahead and cap those ridges in the early game. Because the 3rd base you can get up to fairly quickly. It's taking your 4th. Like for a while, yeah, you get your nat up pretty securely, but figuring out how to take your 3rd, that was the problem. Nowadays, it's a little bit different. Nowadays, it's like, oh man, I've got... It's really actually quite difficult for me to, take my 3rd base. That's the real problem. So, could always do that. Now, we are getting into that tier 3 tech. I talked about the Pazuzu with Paladin on the way. Already done, actually. Another Iron Foundry complete. Sieve and Reservoir coming online there. Apothecaries making Silver Tongues for single target damage. Not bad. I'd love some 7 steps, actually. 7 steps are really good versus crowds of units. Especially versus units that move kind of fast. Lots of Phalanx, lots of Madrigals. And a Kafralosk on the way, as well as a lot of Vilgora cores coming for Crankendow. He's also starting to use those Oxal Larvae to make Zozark units, specifically the Zarkava core. He's got a Zobrilla Scout as well, though. Striga's really helping out to repel the Ultra Cores. A lot of Phalanx damage, a lot of spread damage. Look at this. What a line from Ayud. He's still going to have to evacuate that base number 5, and he has not been able to set up a 6th base during all of this. Starvation could set in soon, and his Strigas are starting to fall. The Madcap's going to be called upon next to try to put some distance between the Zerg and all of the mech. Paladin's been shellacking the army in the meanwhile. Some pretty clutch D-matrixes have come out. Treasury going to get repaired. Actually, I don't see too many Mason corpses over here, so he might be able to get back up and running sooner than I think. Those Arcavicores are one of the few units that deal splash damage that can hit both air and ground with the same attack, so you can watch out for them as well. Not that air is really a heavy presence of Ayud's army right now. Pretty healthy, 12 o'clock, although it's not the most oversaturated right now. Obviously depleted main. We're getting to the point where the naturals will be fully gone. Although not for Crankadow. He's a little bit lackluster on that saturation there. Perhaps by design. Carapace is going to start to befall this army, but they'll be broken through pretty quickly. Oh, there's a lot of AoE coming out from the Zarcavicores, clearing tons of bio. It still feels like it's going to take a little bit more, but the burrow on the right-hand side with the lake is... I don't know, man. The Zobrialisks as well helping out. Yeah, this army's dead. Ayud took a stray path and wasn't prepared for the surround after. Is that game, though? We've got Silver Tongues, we've got Paladins. We still have Azazel spellcasting to make happen here. Oh, but he's standing on top of the missile locations. And he wasn't D-matrixing his Strigas either, so his front line is going to start to crumble. He needs to keep those Paladins alive, I think, if he wants to have a chance at whittling this army down. The Phalanx is deploying way too late now, and the Paladins will go down. It's just enough additional units, and of course the regression mechanic coming into play as the Ultra Cores go back into Zoryus. I think still the Phalanxes will fall and crumble, but there's not that much DPS left over to clear out all of the Strigas, so Ayud will barely hold. Oh, another Paladin going down, that's heartbreaking. The Zobriel is staying alive on barely any life. The minefield now finally going to be cleared from the beginning of the game, and that Zobriel is actually killing the Strigas. It's pretty wild to see. Oh, he D-matrixed the Ultra Core by mistake. That's going to cost you, buddy. It ends up getting broken down anyway. But I feel like it would have been already dead had it not been for that move. And of course, the Zarcavicor is still staying alive. I think when they're on top of your production like this, even with a small number of units, it can get real hairy. Reinforcements coming in to attack that third base, and just even Zephyrcores at this point streaming on in, spending down almost all of his money. Crankadow is on the precipice of crushing through Ayud's last line of defense despite the Terran's considerable bank, or perhaps because of it. He's barely staying alive here, but base number 5 is crumbling. Base number 3 is all dead, every single worker to the man, and you can say the same about 12 o'clock. Count them up, 3, 4, and 5 are gone, and the naturals depleted, and pretty soon to be out of workers. Main have long since depleted. And Ayud will eventually spend down those minerals, while the Zerg takes the whole damn map. Bottom right, top left. This is Krankendow's game. GG. That was a satisfying game right now. That was very cool. All right, I think we can probably find another game between those two that was, you know, worth taking a look at anyway. Oh, there's a near impact game. We'll take a look at that one. All right, get our overlay ready to go here. And I think this will be the last game we cast between these guys, but I'll take a look for other matches in the meanwhile. Thanks for hanging out as we just take a quick look through all of what's been going on lately. Let's do it, boys. We have, cranking down the bottom right, no, top left, sorry, I was on the wrong screen. Cranking down the top left is our, ooh, this is a funny one, Earth Tone Zerg? No, Dark Bronze. And Aoud in the bottom right is our Blood Terran. I think that's a bot. I'm pretty sure that's a bot. That's a funny one. No, I haven't seen that one before. See you, nerd. All right, we can do one more prediction between these guys. And it looks like it'll be a mech play from Aoud, as I saw him mining Vespine earlier before I had to ban a bot. So here we go. Pool coming for Crank. It'll be pool into Larvosk, as is the way that he intends. It's sort of like a mini best of 3. I just picked the games that had the longest running time off of Replay Kraken. There was also a Demaloon game, but that lasted a little bit less long. So I was like, nah, I want a juicy game. You know, I want a game that has some meat to it. Which is not to say that some short games can't have meat to them. We saw a hilarious short game from Kutiam recently, actually. It was Kutiam versus Ultra 7, I think it was. What a wild experience that one was. Sometimes seeing the Class 3 players do the gaming, I've been really enjoying watching them just get really down and dirty and do ridiculous things. But I can't lie, I'm really happy to see Aoud and Crank be playing, not just against each other, but against others as well. I think it's going to be better for the top level to have these guys back, because I know Zeke was really interested in seeing Crank play some Zerg, probably specifically ZVT, but I don't know, Zeke had started to figure things out against Newt. He hasn't played a lot against Dog, admittedly. It's been vultures all day long here for Aoud. I don't know if he played any bio games, but of the ones that we've caught so far, it's all about that vulture. Quaz guarding the ramp. I don't think the vultures are going to get too much action down. I love that Crank is actually down here on the low ground. Oh, I even love more that he finds time to burrow. Oh, yeah. Hey! Catches one vulture. No mines for you. Actually, that one probably didn't have any mines by the looks of it. Gets to the point where he can't burrow anymore to micro his way out of that fight because there's 3 vultures. That's the critical mass needed. Gets the cliff advantage, though. Up duel with them, and Shroud halfway complete. Ministry started behind this attack. There's a little bit of pressure after all, and of course, Aoud, he's going to want to try to mine up this exit path here in case of drops. A very diligent, practiced game plan, but we have an early switch up already. As the Ministry is halfway complete, we have 2 stockades coming up. The first time Aoud has really flexed into bio in this set of games that we've casted so far. Oh, yes, that's right, Shopkeeper Dog. You did play against Zeke. I forgot. There was some practice game. Near Impact is almost as popular as Crisis Factor, so it is surprising to me, Chumbeka, that you haven't seen it. But also, hello and welcome. I saw you in the towards the tail end of the Cannoli series. Or not, it was the Shambler Grass Eater series. I saw you sent that message, but I forgot to say hello. I mentally said hello. I hope you received my mental communication, but my verbal hello was missing. So here it is now. I'm now going to go ahead and expand. There's some mines over here, but haven't yet been set up. I like that the vultures were positioning at 9 o'clock just in case the Ovaleth had moved over that direction. And now they're going to go ahead and lay some mines there. And indeed, the last of the mines will be discovered in the nooks and crannies of Frankadow's base. 3 Droleths. One Goliath has been added to the mix. Good anti-air fallback. I think one thing that I've been thinking, I gotta confess something to you guys. I have been thinking a lot about Nicholas's Goliath build, where he just makes like a bunch of vultures in one Goliath and moves across the map, and everybody's like, do I kill the vultures or the Goliath? And it doesn't matter what your answer is, you just die if you don't, control your army right. It's not an OP build. It's just, it's pretty good at like settling people off course until they get used to it. And I really think that the Goliath build is not a bad shout versus Protoss if you think they're going to do the Neblime Vassal style to try to counter your vultures. And anything that where you think like having a little bit of anti-air as a fallback is going to be good because it's very consistent anti-air. It's one Goliath. It's going to be very tanky. It still helps versus ground armies, like it'll be okay. It'll be fine. As we're going to see right now, the Goliath will help out versus the Obelisk. Actually, Frankendow being a little bit hazy about it. Maybe he already thinks there might be a Goliath out there. Maybe he already saw it earlier. Covenant finishing up for Aoud. He wants to go for those extra powerful bio units. This could be Savant. This could be Eidolon. We'll find out soon. The Cyprians are trying to catch up and help. The Goliath is going to take all the glory. Cyprians couldn't do a thing. Poor babies. Can't keep up with the Goliath. Too powerful. Yeah, a lot of Savants just got added to the mix, and we got some Vultures coming in after that. Lake is guarding the front gate. No third base on deck for either player, rather. And the ski back halfway complete. We have some Hydras coming in. Looks like a pretty standard and practiced opening for Krankendow as well by now. Fox was talking about the healing rule. Yeah, unlike in StarCraft 1 where Zerg regeneration always starts ticking, the regen does require you to be out of combat for 2 seconds, just like flash shielding. I thought about not having that be a feature of Zerg, but at this point it's been there for so long, and it doesn't seem like a bad thing. It's actually kind of like a cool consistency. That was the whole point of the choice originally. So base number 3 is on location for Aoud, a bit of a bold choice, and he's also capping both Sieves at the same time, clearly intending on spending down his Vespene, and I don't think Savants are what he's spending it on. Eidolons have started to filter through. Harakan Eidolon versus Zerg. All right, well, that's a change-up. He is up to 5 Stockade, and the 2 Fulcrums are just making Vultures for extra mines, I suppose. Looks like 9 o'clock will be the location of choice for Krankendow's third base. He's making more Droleth. He's adding in some Zorius, another Bactyl. He's got a reasonably, well-rounded Zerg army. Halfway complete is a Cestus over at the third and a Star Pad back at home for Aoud. I'm expecting that because he was watching those mines and he saw or heard the Lakes cues, so he's going to go ahead and grab detection. That means that it will delay any move out he might have otherwise. He doesn't really want to be playing around with that. However, Eidolons are really good into Lakes, like really good. So this has not been something that Krankendow is particularly aware of. I'm not going to guarantee that since he's been out of the game for a little bit, right? I'm not going to guarantee he would have had like a good response to it had he scouted early, but I'm looking at this game and I'm thinking, yeah, he's actually in a little bit of trouble here if the time he finds out that advanced bio has hit the deck, has hit the field, is when the advanced bio is starting to push into him. At least if he's on his opponent's side of the map, he can buy some time. I like the little Riller is pushing into the minefield trick. That's pretty cute. By the way, Ulgord Cavern has started up a Palladium behind it for the mech, and an Antseal is underway. 5 Eidolons a pop. He's got that Sieve income, and he double gas base on the high ground, and now it's going to be obvious that Savants and Eidolons have been deployed. Zorius almost burning up there. Mine hit, not quite, just a slow. Just an obfuscation. The Obelisk could be an easy target by the Eidolons. We'll see what the focus fire comes in as. That one Goliath from earlier, and the Savant trying to deploy. We need to see those Vultures maybe try to run in and get in the face of the Bactyls. That would reduce a lot of their DPS, but can't quite reveal the Eidolons now. The Obelisk trying to serve as that choice, but look at this. With the Antseal here for detection, the Lakers are not long for this world, and the Bactyls were not able to do much damage to the backline. So that's a bloody massacre already. As we cross 10 minutes, this is going to be a desperate hold here, it feels like, for Krankendow. The Ovelots being cleaned up, including one extra one that came in there. And, all right, well, there was a third base set up during that time. Macro Hatch inside the third, and we are going to start to get some static defense set up there. Macro Hatch in the natural as well. And remember the Olgorg, but not that many units to turn into anything, right? Savant price again. I think it's like 125.50 or something like that. Sure. Yep, there you go. No, that was Crankendow saying that, so... Ayud has to confirm it. There, he's the guy with the command card on the spot. Glad I recalled that correctly. 4 Zoryus coming in. The Eidolons are spooky. Remember that the Anseal will provide some detection up the cliff. Ayud could have been a little bit more careful about this. He's taking a lot of spread damage across all of his units. And the Anseal can be picked, and it will be snapped immediately. And now the splash damage should be enough for Crankendow to clear this out. Although his Lakers are a little bit further away than they need to be right now. He's hemorrhaging a lot of Hydras as a result. Kind of catching a few units coming in there, but I don't think it was so cost efficient. Savant's getting a lot of value stacked up there. Ooh. That's a little bit rough for Ayud, right? He doesn't do much economic damage, and army resets tend to favor Zerg due to their larva mechanics. Maybe he can try to cancel out 12 o'clock with the Savants. Don't see an army ready to go, and there is one lobotomy mine from the beginning of the game. I don't think it's going to matter too much here. Oh, no, not really. So the Hatrosk is allowed to finish. Crankendow not exerting any control there. 5 more Savants trying to come in. I like the Rilla Rokors against the Savants. I think that's going to be pretty good. The Lake is finding a lot of value, cutting off that little side passageway, and obviously clearing house from all of the Savants at 11 o'clock. That was very, very good. Down here at 5 o'clock, we already have base number 4 up for our Terran player. So they're keeping a little bit in tandem with each other. But in the long game, after you get to like 4 or 5 bases, it feels like Ayud did struggle on Frosted Forest to take additional bases. So, the longer the game goes, I might start to favor Crankendow is basically what I'm trying to get at here. Savant Eidolon with a Phalanx also here on the way. Might try to apply some pressure to that wounded Hatrosk. There is some static defense being set up here, but I really wish Crankendow had left like 1 unit in that little passageway. A cute little Phalanx line will reveal itself. Maybe a little bit earlier than Ayud intended it to. Lots of Ultra Cores being made. Bactals as well. At least a Bactal. Here they go, trying to carve their way through all the little alleyways, all the nooks and crannies. The Lake is going to burrow in their face. Not a lot of splash damage just yet. The Phalanx count pretty low, but still helping out quite a bit. And those 2 Ultra Cores, yeah, obviously deployed Savants can really, really heavily counter them, which is what they're doing down here. Oh, the splattering of the Lakers was so, so difficult. It's like, think of the Lakers as siege tanks in Starcraft 1, and think of the Phalanxes as Psystorm. You really want to spread those out. I mean, you can think of Lurkers and Psystorm as well, but I was watching TVP earlier, okay? That's all I can tell you. A GG going out to Arbuz, who is getting ready for bed as we finish things off. A lullaby of Cosmonarchy, perhaps. He was doing some Blood Summon concept art yesterday. Legend. Very cool. We'll get that 5th race to you guys eventually. Oh, I don't know about this Drolleth evacuation. I guess most of them will actually get out scot-free, but was clearly worried about some other attack coming in from that sideways passage. This is a very difficult entrenched position for Crank to clear. He's going to give it a go. The Lake is on the front line. Doesn't feel like a good move to me. Let's see if he can spine down those Phalanx. They're standing in front of and adjacent to a ton of Savants. But the Phalanx count at this point is a little bit too deep, and that's a fully saturated Savant. Dude, that's too much. GG. Almost instantaneous defeat of that Zerg army. And that will be Ayud taking the game. Crankendow realizing that maybe he wasn't so far out of the woods there. That is a lot of entrenchment. That was a lot of entrenchment. I will say, I think ideas for Crankendow, from seeing all of those games so far, One thing I'm noticing is typically at his best, at his apex, shall we say, when he was able to get top 4 in the last Acropolis, one of the things I always saw Crankendow do is have units all over the place, like small expendable Quas or Zeth, just looking around, seeing what they could find, patrolling, doing whatever. A lot of times he got caught out. His army too far away to help. I think that happened on Crisis Vector, and I think that happened on Near Impact, particularly towards that 11 o'clock base, which felt like the fateful turning point of the game, where actually I would say he was maybe marginally ahead at that point, but when he had to give up that position multiple times and eventually allowed that entrenchment to happen on the high ground, it was a very difficult spot for him to be in because he couldn't really flank from the north since he didn't have enough units over there, and you can't path to the north without crossing over that ridge, so or at least around it, where the units can start taking pot shots. So some sort of advanced warning system would have definitely helped him out there. And I do think that there's also something to be said about the lack of counterattacks. And I like once the Aoud gets tier 2, he buttons up his bases pretty nicely, except for like the 3rd on Frosted Forest, but his unit positioning was supposed to protect that. I think like before he hits tier 2, you can definitely do more counterattacks. Even if you can just spare 1 round of larva for Zethra or something, just send them over there, see what they can do. At the same time, it is a little bit difficult because sometimes you want every single larva you can spend. It really does depend. And so I'm not intending this as really harsh criticism, or just like something maybe could be useful later on is experimenting with those counterattacks, finding the timings. It might happen that you follow this advice and you're like, all right, I'll counterattack, and then you lose because you didn't have enough units to defend the push or whatever. But that's part of the learning experience. If, you know, I do believe that I have created this game here with everybody's help, of course, not just the sole creator, but I have played my part in making a game where the counterattacking is a valid strategy, and so therefore I would like to see Crankendow explore it a little bit. Sure. I probably casted all games. Yeah, man. Check out Demoloon maybe, but I know that was a shorter one. I think it was like a 12-minute game or something. Yeah, Gorgs, not so many players of Zerg are actually making Gorgor-cores, and I don't know why. Pretty good unit. Shopkeeper dog. Terran agenda pushing. All right. So there's a couple of other games here that I can go ahead and cast. I haven't really done an exhaustive dive through Replay Kraken yet. I just saw that these games were being... Somebody told me, it was Marsupial, said I should absolutely cast like Frosted Forest. So I figured I would cast a couple of them. There are a couple of games on the new air gap. I think it's on the new air gap between Shopdog and Cannoli that I want to take a look at. And Cannoli is still alive in the Tribunal, so that's pretty cool. And there's a really cool game between AOT and Shambler, apparently. I don't know if we'll get through all of that today. What time is it? 8 o'clock already? Let's see, how long have I been streaming? Where's the question? A little over 3 hours. All right, GG's Crank. I will see you. Yeah, sleep with Arby. GG's. Yeah, they're homies. They're Zerg brothers. Unbelievable. All right. I don't know. I think Shopdog should hit me with that TVT between him and Kutyam yesterday. I want to see that. That'll be from before the Mason model update, too. That'll be funny. Yeah, they cocoon themselves together. We added pagination, so I have to scroll a little bit further down until we get search. Shout out Veek7 for that. Second game was good, okay. Oh yeah, I saw you played against some Nicholas a little bit. Judging by the game that you lost on Crisis Vector to Arbiz, I assume that's the Gorg game. I had a sense. I don't know what it was, but I feel like I'm way too far back. Oh, did you play against Ball again? No, these are on the 29th as well. I feel like I missed it. Where did they go? Did you have a different username than Shopkeeper Dog? Where'd you go? Yeah, super. Ah, Nicholas played against Crank as well. Pour one out for the lad. Oh shit, there was a Crank versus Vilius game on Magnetron. That must have been funny. Dude, Crank and Vilius did some gaming. They went around the world. Crank just ate him up. Scrolling. Oh, I see. Down here, maybe. Yeah, the first one, okay, I just hadn't... It didn't update my Control F. We definitely are going to need to do search soon. Okay, so there's a game on Crisis Vector that is almost 15 minutes long. I guess that's probably the one. And then apparently there were some Shopdog versus Nicholas games later on in the day that maybe we could take a look at. I see Nicholas Sausage. Oh, damn, there's like a set of 3 games that looks so good. You played Nicholas after Kutyam? Yeah. I figured. Hey, look, Neblime v. Jakulangski. We love that. The matchup of the ages, dude. Okay. Here. Back on Crisis Vector. Am I really going to cast an entire day of games with no Protoss? Yes. That way we can't get any Optecton. Neb versus Jack games are by default kick-ass every time. I agree with that. I co-sign that statement. Lads! Shopkeeper Dog versus Kutyam Supin. Kutyam, the white Terran in the bottom right. Shopkeeper Dog in the top left is our Palatinate Blue Terran. And it is going to be a good time because I don't know if you guys know this, but this is right after the game that we casted yesterday. Was it last night? Yeah, I guess I'm doing these streams pretty often. I'm a pretty cool guy. You should donate to me. Streamlabs.com/Pronogo. You can support future show matches. You can help me pay rent. Pretty good idea, honestly. Because I can't really cast... I probably could cast outside, but I would prefer not to. Fucking... You know those guys that are street performers that have like their microphones hooked up to a radio or whatever? That would be pretty good. It was cast in Times Square. But not in a really exciting way, where it's like, damn, you're cast in Times Square? Like, yeah, but not in Madison Square Garden, just in the parking lot outside. Anyway. Shopkeeper Dog is going to go mech. Kutyam is going to go mech. And if you don't think that's exciting, then you're probably Arbuz who fell asleep. So. Support Protogo. What a novel idea. Where is Wheat Superfan? It's true. What happens when we get big enough that somebody looks at the, like, eventually has like combed through the VODs or whatever, and they found this obscure stream yesterday on the 29th of November where somebody named not I Am the Weed of God said that they were your super fan. And then they decided to take that. So seriously, for real, one player or one person out there donates an inordinate amount of money, and their name is not God or not Godweed or whatever. And then I'm like, hey God, thanks for giving me the money. And you're like, I didn't do that. That's what I want. I want to get that. I want to get that one for sure. I guess I am an internet performer. Yeah, instead of a street performer, I'm an internet performer. I like that. How you doing, No Exit? Hope you're doing well. Got vultures crossing paths. Oh, actually, Kuti, I'm playing a little bit more defensive. I like this little maneuver around Shopkeeper Dog, though. He's going to wrap around here a little bit. There is one mine placed perniciously and defensively. We'll see how quick it is to change shape here. Looks like Dog going to lay 2 mines over here and then 1 anti-drop off to the side. You will be forcibly taking credit. Somebody will remain anonymous. Dude, there's no way Kutev's just going to walk in here and clear some of these mines by accident and be like, why are there mines there? So 4 vultures and 2 more on the way here for Shopdog. Has Kutian been keeping up? It actually looks like his stuff is idle because he wants a ministry. Shopdog is going to make one of his own, but it's a little bit later. And also he has a little bit more on the vulture production side of things. Is he going to do something with that? I don't know. 2 Cyclops on the way. I think if you hit 4 Cyclops, I can declare you safe from vulture shenanigans in the early game of TBT. But you can't... You could just open with Cyclops. I was about to say you can't open Cyclops. You could, but you're giving up a lot of like map control and potential for stuff with the lobotomy mines. I mean, you get this little mine standoff, you know, I like... We need to see more... top scale competition. You heard it here first, boys. I mean, that's what these guys are doing to some degree. If I had invited Kutiam into the tribunal, he would have accepted. Not quite there at the top of class 3 yet. A ranked win over Shopkeeper Dog, though. Ooh. Ooh, got a sting. I will admit that if you're trying to climb in ranking and your ranking mechanism is just me looking at your games, your best opportunity to get like a high initial seed is your first few games. Because then I'm like, oh, wow, yeah, you got a lot of potential, actually. You know? And then you're like, I'm not going to cast like game 1 of you necessarily, unless you're like a high profile person, like a pro player or something. But if you're just your average schmo, and you're coming in and you're like, I kind of know my way around RTS. I'm going to be able to recognize that from your gameplay pretty early on. But if I cast your, say, game 4, game 14, game 15, something like that, then I think you're going to be in a really good spot if you have like pretty good skills. That's like odorless levels, right? Like I casted his like 20th game or something, maybe a little bit less than that. And I was like, yeah, he's actually pretty good. You know, he's easy class 3 and probably a little bit more than that. Like I could see him getting to a point where he's a little bit more than that. And so I think that's pretty cool. But at the same time, once you get to like game 60, game 70, then at that point I'm like, you're part of the furniture already. I don't need to even look at you anymore. I know what you are. And so if Kutiam has been improving, not to the point where it's a meteoric rise, but not to the point where it's going to take him like 1,000 games to get class 3 or class 4, you know, whatever class he's going after, whatever next rank he would be. Like, I think 1,000 games is an exaggeration, but Jimmy's going to take a lot of games. You know, and I think he could easily get to class 3. I mean, easily is a strong word maybe, but I think he could get to class 3. But Kutiam might be the victim of that, where I'm like, yeah, I know what he's like. I know how skilled he is. And then he's like improving, but I'm just not paying attention. So the win over Shopkeeper really caught me off guard. But it's one win, you know, it can fluke. I love that the Trojan is like, he's almost accidentally faking him out or something, but finally the Shopkeeper Dog, suspense will be broken, and Kutiam will drop a single worker on Shopdog's line. That must have been really confusing for Shopdog. He must have been like, wait, are you going to drop it? Or is there anything to draw? I guess you don't have anything. And then suddenly... Well, the Trojan gets out. 2 Cyclops get out. Behind that, 1,000 minerals have been banked, so Kutium definitely needing to tighten up his spending a little bit there. More fulcrums. And Shopdog will put down a star pad on his side of things. One thing that I think is really cool about... oh, hold that thought. We have a star pad. Interrupt us. Oh, he straight up cancels that. Wow, 5 HP on that Mason. Could have been very bad for that guy. By the way, Kutium has more workers. What happened here? How has Kutium got more workers than Shopdog? That's wild. He killed 1 Mason. So that does not account for the discrepancy, I'm afraid. One of the things that I really like about Replay Kraken, the most recent set of updates, pagination is nice, but we get to see average APM, right? And so I know average APM sounds like an oxymoron because it's it's average actions per minute, but like people assume APM is like the average, but actually like you have an APM currently, which is what we see here in these numbers that are fluctuating next to the colored squares. But you also have your average APM across the entire match, and that is what we see on Replay Kraken. And for example, there's a match that I'm just randomly looking at here where Shopkeeper Dog has 362 APM and Reclaimers Are Bad, aka Arbus Budish, has 125. So, there's like these easy ways to say, oh, whoa, hold on, this guy's actually doing pretty well. Now, Shopdog looks like his APM averages a little bit closer to 300, 280 or whatever. But listen, that's pretty good, man. If you can get to 300, 400 APM, 400 is kind of outrageous, to be honest with you. But if you can get to 300 APM or near it on a regular basis on your average game, you're in pretty good hands. Hey, what's going on, Power Up to Sleep? Actually, to tell you the truth, the Vulture and the Maverick hit on the same day as like Matador update, Blackjack update, Cyclops update, Cyprian and Huracan update. We updated like a ton of graphics at the same time for the Terran Arsenal. All right, it's Eidolon Matador yet again revealing themselves. The Phalanxes for Kutium are going to be his ace in the hole here as the NCLs cycle forward to try to defend. The Matadors are taking a lot of shots from those Phalanx and probably more shots from the Cyclops side of things, but still the crowd control out of this world here. Superlative for Kutium, who is maintaining a 2-worker lead so far, although he has paused worker production. You can say the same about Shopdog, who is eking out more Blackjacks, more Eidolons, and some Huracans are starting to add in. The Valkyries are making a return. In the game that Kutium won over Dog, the Valkyrie versus Anseal war was something that kept happening, which is pretty cute. We do have more Phalanxes in production, and a healthy amount of minerals in the bank means he could go for a Ministry behind it. You see Shopdog has done just that. Kutium being a little bit slower on that front. He's got a couple of Goliaths that might wander into some mines if they're not careful. Valkyrie's patrolling, looking for anything they can get. They have enough HP that you can kind of walk into some... This is too many Cyclops, but if you had like 5 Cyclops here, you could kind of walk into them and force a bunch of friendly splash to happen. More star pads. Shopdog wants air superiority. And if he can make enough Valkyries to kill the Anseals and force the Cyclops to disengage, then he could get it. That's a legit strat. Also, Terran structures that are floating will decloak Eidolons, which has been a tactic used by Terrans in the past. Oh, here we go. Trying to beat back those Anseals. I don't think the Cyclops are in enough number right now to really help out here. They're kind of absorbing the shells from everything else. The Anseals have been broken, it seems. Oh, but the tank mode Phalanxes, once again, proving their worth. Here come the Anseals to reveal exactly what's going on here. The Valkyrie is with impunity dealing with this. Well, there's one Goliath here to help out, though. Steady anti-air has been invested in. We got more Matadors and Blackjacks to try to dive the Phalanx line. Is it going to be enough? Oh, no, that one's going so deep. A very brawly back and forth. I was going to say bloody, but, there's not that much blood in these mech sprites. Very brawly back and forth. Slobber knocker. We've got 7 Phalanxes. Base number 3 lifting off to the double gas. Where did it end up going? It's on the way to the double gas for Shopkeeper Dog as well. But he could be pushed into by the artillery a lot easier than Shopdog could affect change on the other side of the map.
I really think I suck and I'll be seen as a fraud.
Oh shit, Ayu dropping the massive set of gift subs. I appreciate it, homies.
Everyone will think I suck, and I'll be seen as a fraud.
That's 5 gifted from Ayud64. Ends up passing it on to Chumbeka, Peasons, Shocky Delocky 5, the Night Fox, and oh, but alright. That is pretty alright.
Suck, and I'll be seen as a fraud.
We do have some Jonathan Blow cameo going on here, which is very cool. Got to wait for that to cycle through 2 more times, by the way, I think.
Everyone will think I suck, and I'll be seen as a fraud.
There it is. Classic. Excellent time for TVT, dude. He donated, he 5 gifted for TVT, guys.
Everyone
That's
will
commitment.
think I suck, and I'll be seen as a fraud.
The way that clip ends always gets me because it's like very sudden. Now the Cyclops run by isn't likely to do too much damage, but it will kill a couple of Masons maybe. Oh, well, maybe not. No, never mind. Nice try, but not quite. Some Wraiths are being invested into. We still have some Valkyries behind this. This is a creative solution. I mean, I really think, I always thought like Wraiths and such should have been invested into by Terrans, you know? But, yeah, we'll see. Trying to set up for maybe a dive in. There's only the one Goliath. He doesn't realize it, but he can clear this very easily with the air army that he's got. He walks in, Wraiths occupy the Goliath, and everything else goes the way of the Dodo. Valks are going to clear the Ant Seals. There's not going to be any detection for those Eidolons, and it doesn't even really matter because the Blackjacks and Harakans are going to clear all the Phalanx. Cycling back, we've got some Sacrificial Masons. They're not the new skin Masons, so it doesn't matter. Get them out of here. Oh. And we just got 3'd. A coffee subscription. Hell yeah, from Shadow Self. I don't know if they're watching, but thanks. Dude, we're starting to swim in it, I think. That's pretty good. That should count towards the hype train. Wraiths, very hype. Some Goliaths have been made, but can you deal with all the Wraiths? This is actually where Cyclops would come in handy. That's a humongous lobotomy mine. Another few of them trying to slow things down, but more Wraiths where that came from, and the Ant Seals are not going to help you out here, buddy. Deploying the Phalanxes. Ooh, I don't know about this one. He still doesn't have any detection because of the air superiority. Okay, listen. Valkyries clearing Ant Seals so Eidolons can kill Phalanxes. What a mind-expanding moment for Terran versus Terran. Is this not the best matchup in the game, Shopkeeper Dog? The one straight Phalanx shot killing 4 Eidolons to punctuate the point. Here we go! Use the Fulcrum. They can't kill it very fast, and it will decloak the Eidolons. The other thing I wanted to mention by that is that you can use lifted Terran structures to draw Cyclops fire and paintbrush damage, and that's something that could have been done on either side this game. It doesn't look like it's going to be quite enough from Kutian, but I respect the effort at the end. Cestus and his 3rd base under attack over here, interrupted. Cestus interruptus. Wild sequence of events, boys. Tank mode Phalanx. Not a bad shout, honestly. Not terrible. But here come the Matadors to rend all your armor. Hi, Joe Phalanx. Hi, Joe Armor. The Wraiths annihilating the Phalanx after the armor rend, and that is GG, boys. We have ourselves an answer back from Shopkeeper Dog. That's some pretty cool stuff, right? Looks like Shadow Self has put in the payment of $3 a month, signing up for almost constant, shall we say, phone postings. You know, you get those logs, get those little mini podcasts on your feed all the time, like 5 times a week usually, and some donor exclusive content as well. Very cool. That is the new TVT strat. God, that was a very good one. So big ups to Aoud for the 5 gifted and Shadow Self for the $3 a month. Do appreciate it. All we're missing is a merch sale. All right, that was pretty good. I like that. I think we can do one more game here, and I'm trying to decide which one it shall be. What the hell? We'll do the Neblime Jakulansky game. That's a good one. I will show Protoss one time again. One time. Oh, what map is it? This is this must be Lucidity, is it not? Go back and look at the map name in the. Yeah, look at that. Okay, cool. We'll get to see a new map by Biddy B. Biddy B's birthday bash is coming up, by the way, on December 12th. I'll release more information about it, but we will have a tournament on December 12th in honor of Biddy B. Here we go. Lucidity is going to be our next stop. Our last stop, I think. I'll probably going to be ending the stream after this one. We'll see what happens. I mean, if I get a humongous raid or something, I'll probably have to. I'm just contractually obligated at that point, but I don't think that's coming. Vivid Red Zerg in the top left is Jakulansky. I'm red. Yeah, he is. And Neblime in the bottom right is our Eggshell Blue Protoss. He's Vivid Red, so he is not red, he is Vivid Red. He is red, but he is not just red. You know what I mean? Gonna go for that Kagran. And of course, Neblime gonna open with a gateway. Neblime is a homie. He has been around for a while. At this point, one of our longest tenured players. Here we go. Neblime versus Jakulansky. The bet is on over on Twitch. And it's actually a straight Larvosk first. There's no tech node behind it. He's going to make one pair of Rilla Rokors. Versus Protoss, you can probably do that. You can afford to do that a little bit easier because of the fact that the gateway timing is such that it takes a little bit longer for them to send a military unit across. It's a little bit of a combination of the gateway timing and the timing of the first military unit also being a little bit later. Hierophant coming up as the first purchase. And with the scribe coming across, it'll be pretty clear what's going on. We can introduce the map a little bit as the Grand Library gets thrown down. You can see the natural is over here. There's a bit of a wide choke into the natural. This is a map with a ramp into the main, but no ramp into the natural. Legion! Unfortunately, Aoud, there is no Legion area. But I'll let you know if there is one. Thank you, buddy, for the 5 gifted there. That's a pretty good soundboard item to redeem after doing the gifted. That's pretty good right there. I dig it. So the Hierophant will make its move outside, and one of the things as well that's worth pointing out, not just these wide choke points, but the map overall, I believe, is based on a map called Psychosis by the Shambler. Which might have been an ice map, but it could have also been no, it was a Twilight map, I'm pretty sure. It was just the name may have told you, but it was just a bit of a weird one. I'm noticing that the natural is very far from the main base, so Zerg might have a particularly strugglesome time on it. Unlikely to kill a Larvosk here, but there are a lot of Quas being made. You can see they're being banked back over there. Should maybe focus on the scribe here with those Quas. You can actually do a surprising amount of damage to the Hierophant with Quas, but obviously the Hierophant is way more mobile. Second Hierophant coming, and base number 2 is on the way. Dude, this is like almost the distance of a third base from a natural. Do you guys know what I mean? That's crazy far. I can already tell you, like, dropping or finding some way into the... I guess it would mostly just be dropping. Finding a way into the main base. That... Recalls, if you can get a recall off in a Terran base or something. Dude, GG. It's going to be real hard. Amaranth is ready for action as the Hierophants are being dogged by Zethicors, and I do think that with the third Larvosk, there's the Hydrathin. Okay, I was going to say, Jack needs to think about an expansion soon, but instead he's going to go after something else. Oh, no. Oh, dear. He was caught on a little bit of a pathfinding mission. Easy as pie. Vornath Pond is coming up as well. So it looks like we're going to see some Vorvs as well as Hydra. I would love to see like Hydra Vorv. Would be a pretty good one. Good luck. The Amaranths are just unkillable for your pool units at this stage. You may have heard the banter line from the Amaranth there for a moment, and it's right. You cannot stop him. Pairs of Naths are on the way, interestingly enough. The Droleth killed. It's Zeths and Quas. Maybe now they can stop you? Hierophants have started to falter. Meanwhile, we have a lot more wounded Protoss than you might have initially expected. He's trying. He's trying so hard. Oh my god. They're so good, dude. You can't possibly stop them. Oh my god, dude. Nerf toss. What the hell? Finally, they'll be got. Holy moly. Beautiful, but at least the Hierophants escaped. Not a lot of saturation behind that. We do have a prostration stage coming. Herald on the way. One day people will realize how killer Amaranths are.
Fate of all fools.
God, we back on the TV. Our voice being broadcast somewhere into Canada. Bulwark finishes up. That's going to help out quite a bit. Herald unlikely to fall anytime soon, as the Hierophants and the Atreus are going to help things out. Nice little worker dog in there, but Scribes are able to do something anyway. And yeah, not a whole lot going on. Even the drill to get the Zets decollided, that actually did save the Bulwark. Zets are really good versus structures, so if Nebulheim didn't do that, I think at least 4 more hits get onto that sucker and it goes down. All of that for Jax to go for a bunch of extra workers at the natural, and he actually has caught up really, really nicely on the worker count. Some Nathicors are going to start patrolling out, and maybe they'll heckle something over here in the main base, but a lot of Hydras are being made. So this game will go on, unless something really unfortunate happens to one player's army. But they should just be able to see that each one of them is in a pretty good spot. Pariah has arrived, and another one. Green Egg saying that the... oh, look at that. Green Egg saying that those Amaranths should have lasted longer, so they'll become Pariahs. Maybe he's not wrong. Is the cancel coming? There it is. Very nice. Well timed. Should try to grab a couple of these units. Look, the Droleth body block. What? All right, Jack and Lynx. All right, buddy. He can just go ahead and double expand again if that's what he wants to do. But he doesn't have that much, protecting the front gates, so he's probably going to feel a little bit paranoid about that. Little does he know, Nebulheim is going a 1-1-1, sort of like, a Tier 1, Tier 2, and Tier 3 structure, and now he's adding 2 rogue galleries and a second prostration stage. With enough Hydras, you can sort of deal with the Pariahs, but they are soon going to start outscaling the Zerg army. Yeah, I think you take one look at those Pariahs and you're very concerned. Hydra's starting to fall back over here. Gas cap on the ridge for the natural, and we're going to put down the Zorkage Shroud, get some more armor end going. Another pair of Naths, 2 pairs of Naths, actually. I didn't quite see what happened to the round over here, but I don't see any kills on the Warden. So they must have gotten caught in the middle of the map. There were 4 Naths at one point. Zethicor behind the interior base being taken out. We obviously have them... Oh. Interesting. Well, base number 3 coming for our Protoss player. Base 3 is already done, including gas cap for Jackie Langsky. What does Nebulheim want to do now is the question. Real recognize real on that cancel timing, especially since Jack and Nebulheim are in the oceanic area. I don't know how good their ping is to each other, or their, we'll have to see. A lot of Hydras. Jack Langsky having more military than workers, but maybe not for long as he's trying to focus down perhaps the wrong targets. Oh, that backstep was very ugly. I wonder if what he was even trying to focus down. He killed the Zealot and nothing else. Definitely felt like his targeting was a little off. Now the Nathicors are going to come in and just add a little bit more armor end to the pile. Not bad, not a bad tactic. Herald's trying to keep those pariahs alive as best they can, but two of them are falling on the front, and the other one is very, very wounded. Nablam in a little bit of trouble here. He's making Vagrants and Sycophants behind this. More pariahs coming in. That's very important right now. And the static defense is already set up down there at the third base, so it'll stay alive with no casualties. And, well, where's Jack Yelenkski's extra hatches? He's now putting down a macro hatch inside the natural. He's got 4 Larvosks, so 4 and the 3 active hatches is a pretty good number of larva production, but I do feel like he needs a little bit more. He could have maybe closer to 10, as opposed to the 7 he's got. One random scribe did get picked, but it will be an early warning system that the Zerg is moving across the map again. Maybe try to steal away one pariah on the way out. It's a little bit dangerous, a little bit tricky. No armor end now. Here come the Nathicors once again, and the Lakes. The Lakes are going to be a problem. Nablam doesn't have any detection right now, and this is going to kind of catch him by surprise. The Hydras sinking their teeth, their spit, right into that pariah. Oh, it's so close to death. Oh, the Nathicor almost got it. One more pop on the Hydra would have done it. Lake is focusing all of their efforts onto the front line here. They're going to have to unburrow and get the hell out of Dodge. Only one of them staying alive for any more shots, and this should be illegal, but the Heralds make it so. A single Dracodon has arrived to heckle this base at 9 o'clock, and actually it hasn't really been well saturated, and so that's going to be a bit of a tricky move. A couple Hydras will deal with that just fine, but the rest of the army is going to be trying to deal with these pariahs. The Zorius obviously helping out a little bit with the Rilla Rokors. Everybody needs to be all claws on deck right now for Jack. He's making only Hydras, and he doesn't have that much on the other side of it either. One pariah does go down. There's another one that's pretty close to death. Shields falling on the last remaining. Well, with the exception of this one that's still kind of hankering around the extremities, but that's not going to last very long at all. So this army will end up getting cleaned, but good development for Nablam as he goes up to 86 workers, really shooting ahead of the Zerg. That's what he's gotten for all of this pressure, and behind it, well, his next round isn't the most stupendous, but it's a lot of Vagrants. If the Lakes count is held at an arm's length, is kept under wraps, kept under control, might be okay. No reaction time there, but base number 4 on the way. And a pylon being set up here at 12 o'clock if that doesn't get spotted. And he'll be all right. I like that Nablam is one of the few players that we have who will just send one unit to deal with stuff like this. He keeps calm. He doesn't react immediately because one unit arrived or whatever. In this case, he might have maybe benefited from doing that because Jack Yelenkski already moving the whole army up here to force a cancel onto this Nexus and entrench ahead of time in case there's going to be an attempt to save it, which I don't think Nablam is going to do, especially when all those Lakes get revealed. He should just force the cancel. Have a couple more reinforcements coming in, base 4 being taken by Jack. Great cancel on it, but he doesn't kill the scribe. It could just be reset, and he doesn't quite know it. Oh. Did he think that he was just going to get away with that? I don't know, but most of the Lake is going down. Feels like an unforced error. Pariahs have wrapped around to shut down mining at 9 o'clock, so we are back to Nablam being far in the field, far in the lead economically, whereas before it was maybe an even game despite the worker disparity. That's a lot of damage. And, of course, base number 4 being reset at 3 o'clock for Nablam, leading from the pack, leading from the charge. I feel like... I mean, he's got a synthetic cyanide he just finished up too by the Crucible. A Demiurge is incoming. Not that the front line is really the cause for concern. Big ball of Protoss starting to move across the map. Should this be some cause for issue? Nablam is maybe going to just allow that army to crash into his 4th base because he knows he has the economic advantage. He knows that there isn't another base set up for Jack Yelenkski at this moment, and there's nothing that Jack can do. With all those Lakes dead, how is he possibly supposed to deal with all of this? 21 Hydras are coming, but that's not going to be enough. He's got 3 Lakes off to the side, and spawn camping the eggs. The rest of the Hydras have to come back, but is it too late? Feels like the answer must be yes as the Pariah arrives in the main base. Oh, man, the Charlatan. The Vagrant's helping out quite a bit as well. This is such a messy game on top of the production now. Reinforcement's going to get cleaned up. He did resaturate the 9 o'clock base, but Jack Yelensky's still down more than 40 workers. What more can Neblon get from this position? He could have maybe force targeted some Larvos. Instead, he wants to go after the Hydrith Den. One's already being remade, so it won't be for too much longer, but Jack could have actually queued up a bunch more Hydras at the end there. Instead, he goes for Zeths. Going to be remade in the natural. By the way, this is a tier 1 with only one evolution, Zerg. And it's against a Protoss that has synthetic cyanide tech, that has a healthy amount of tier 2 and tier 3 production, and that has Pariahs in the 4th base. So the workers have to get the hell out of Dodge, and they have to engage Pariahs with Zethra cores. Ugh! What a bloodbath. Not quite able to overcome. Yeah, I feel like with the Protoss coming in for the uppercut at 9 o'clock, nothing mining here at the 4th just yet. He's got a reasonable set of army units, but the push and pull is a little bit too strong, and meanwhile he's setting up all of this extra stuff over here for forward production. Oh my god. I feel like the workers are going to get massacred here. Pariah's loose in the mineral line. Not quite able to break down the hatches, but does it even really matter that much? I don't know. 9 o'clock unprotected. Jack Yelansky, I think he just canceled a bunch of his units as well. He just had a huge flood of income come back up. Hyrule Iris on the way. I don't think that's going to save him exactly. Has the Demiurge even revealed itself? Okay, now it has, yeah. I was going to say, that was made a long time ago. There's actually 2 more at the 3rd base. And he's stolen some Droleths. I see we got Neutron in the chat. We got Felixander in the chat. Hope you guys are having a good time today. It is indeed Cosmonarchy Sunday. Turns out every day is a good day to be a Cosmonarch. We're going to get some Protoss-controlled Zerg, or what? Base number 4 being reset. Jack in the doldrums here. 5th base on the way for our Protoss. Down at 6 o'clock. Patrolling all the bases, no matter how unlikely. Neblon has seemingly taken firm control of this game. Adding witnesses to the pile. Tier 2 completes for Jack. If he's going to have a chance in this game, it's going to be off the back of really canny Tier 2 usage. And very, very good army control and army positioning. He's made some mistakes where he still had play in the game without relying on Neblime making some kind of critical error. And that really has gotten him pretty far behind. I'm thinking specifically that Lake's maneuver that he did in the upper right. Now he's struggling to deal with these Pariahs. They are enchanted. They are ascended. The Demiurge doing its best over there. Has witness support for Vision. And clotheslining that 4th base yet again. It feels like, how many times can you lose active mining at the 4th? You know what I mean? The Spire is done. The Nest is done. But is the game just over? I mean, there's no more military units here for Jack. And he is going to call GG. The next wave, not far off. That will be Neblime taking the game. Just a little bit too good. Just a little bit too savvy. All right, guys. I think that's about where we will call it today. I had a very good time casting Cosmonarchy. Tomorrow is a little bit of a weird one because the thing that I have to do tomorrow in the middle of the day is in the middle of the day, whereas today was a little bit more like the morning. So I might be streaming again at a similar hour to now tomorrow, if I'm able to stream tomorrow. I also, of course, like to do my streams for the donors, at least one a week, usually more. So I will probably be doing that as well at some point. But you can keep watch on the Discord server for the stream schedule to be publicated. And I am very, very happy to say that today was a good, successful day of streaming. thanks again for all the support, both in terms of sharing Cosmonarchy around, watching the content, and donating as well. We had Ayud gift 5 subs. We had a new person join us on the coffee page for $3 a month, where if you're on that Discord server, you get access to all kinds of perks, live stream exclusive content. You get all sorts of podcast content as well, where I just talk about what's been going on in the dev cycle and shoot the shit a little bit with what people do. So pretty good stuff. And I'm glad to see that we had Krankendow versus Ayud. We had some very cool games there. We had Nebulheim Jack, always a banger, and we had a little bit of Shopkeeper Dog versus Kutiam in there. And before that, we had some tournament games. We casted Hamano versus Cannoli, and we casted Shambler versus Grass Eater. We had some reverse sweeps. It was very surprising. We got one more Tribunal match today that I'll cast tomorrow, as well as one match that's going to be played tomorrow. Maybe it'll be live cast, but probably not, because I think it's in the early stages of the day. And like I said, I'll probably be casting in the evening. So that is where I will leave you. GG.